Sister Blues walked in our town. .604 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane off and running. Brian here with you. Bree Lynn producing. Starting your Monday morning at 49 degrees. What country did we wake up in?
Right.
Well, technically we woke up in a different country yesterday. It was cold.
It was.
It was straight up cold.
And the wind was kicking yesterday.
Yes, it was. Absolutely. Anyway, hey, you know my take. I will take it all day long. The farther we could push back summer, the better. So, yes, starting off your Monday morning at 49 degrees in downtown Baton Rouge, we broadcast live from the 180 Pros studio. We got a big show lined up for you today. Our guest list is actually going to start in studio half an hour from right now. Scott Smith has been all over the Smitty's explosion from, was that last August? Has it been that long already?
It has been that long.
So there's still quote unquote forever chemicals everywhere. Not just at Smitty's, not just in Roseland, downriver, everywhere. It has been an ongoing thing to say that it's not going away anytime soon. And I wouldn't imagine it would when you've got something called forever chemicals. Kind of suggests it could be forever. Also this morning, we're going to do our best to recap what went down with the Supreme Court on Friday as they ruled coastal lawsuits belong in federal courts. In fact, we've got two segments on that. We got Lana Venable this hour from Louisiana Lawsuit Abuse Watch. We got Will Green from LABI in our 7 o'clock hour. We are stacked up. We're getting inside the legislative session with Barbara Freiberg. BREC Room is back at it. Everything under the sun with Moon. We got Medical Monday. We got it all. Let's go. Top stories and trending. Mayor President Sid Edwards is now a Harvard graduate. Well, sort of. He has completed the Harvard Bloomberg Mayor's School, the 45th cohort of that school that he attended. Is it a school or is it just an academy? Like I think it's
just an academy.
It was like a 9-month training. So, I mean, that's
good for him.
Pretty intensive while on the job. But yes, Mayor President Sid Edwards, I suppose, can now call himself a Harvard graduate if he wishes. Baton Rouge Police K-9 Division participated in the USPCA Region 10 field trials where K-9 teams from across the region came together to showcase their training, discipline, and teamwork. This is when they get the dogs out there, y'all. And BRPD, as per usual, showed up and showed out. BRPD took home 8 different awards and had multiple top 5 overall finishers. Woodside Energy has awarded a $300 million tugboat contract to Green Tug Towing tied to its Louisiana LNG project, pushing total in-state supplier commitments past $1 billion. The deal will support shipbuilding in Plaquemines Parish, create dozens of jobs, and reinforce Louisiana's role in global energy infrastructure as the $17.5 billion project for Woodside moves toward production. Michael Vavasor, I believe I have that last name right, an escaped inmate who broke out of a transport vehicle in Opelousas Thursday, was killed Saturday in Karen Crow after leading multiple law enforcement agencies on a chase, hitting an officer with a vehicle, and shooting a police dog. Of course, takes us up to Shreveport, where a gunman identified as Shamar Elkins killed 8 children, including 7 of his own, shot 2 other people Sunday in an early morning attack of domestic violence carried out across 2 different houses. This is one of the nation's deadliest mass shootings in more than 2 years. The mayor of Shreveport calling it possibly the greatest tragedy in the history of the city. Those killed range in age from 1 to 12 years old, and one of the adults wounded was the mother of the suspect's children. Police have not shared what sparked the shooting. What you got, Breland?
An Iranian cargo ship that attempted to bypass a U.S. blockade in the Strait of Hormuz is in U.S. custody, President Trump said Sunday on Truth Social. It's like, you can't go that way.
No. It's then they blew a hole in the engine room, said the president's post. So,
whoa.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's like, big
that'll
note.
get it done. Yeah.
Vice President J.D. Vance, Special Envoy to the Middle East Steve Witkoff, and Jared Kushner, President Trump's son-in-law, will be traveling to Islamabad for talks with Iran, though Iran has said they don't plan on attending.
So they're going to Pakistan for essentially,
Okay.
I mean, you might want to like see if the other side's going to be there before you book that flight.
I love how they're like, we're all going. And Iran's like, we're not
you
going
just
to
roll up on Islamabad and be like, not have anything to do. I can't imagine that there's a whole lot for J.D. Vance, Steve Witkoff, and Jared Kushner. They're just like, I guess, hanging out in a palace. There's worse things you could do with your time.
Of course.
I would hang out in a palace for a couple days. Hey, is Iran coming? No.
No.
All right.
No, okay, we're just going to chill.
You want to play pickleball? Like,
We're just going to chill.
I'm sure that drop-off isn't that bad, but still.
All right, a refund system for businesses that pay tariffs, which the U.S. Supreme Court ruled President Donald Trump imposed without the constitutional authority to do so, is scheduled to launch today. Yeah, scheduled to launch today.
Yeah, I'm curious to find out if this is going to be, how do I put it, user-friendly. I'm hoping so. Because that was the whole point of the whole thing, right? It was the whole point of the whole thing was to help U.S. businesses.
Yep.
You know, and whether he missed the mark or not, which as it's playing out, kind of did, but whether he missed the mark or not, the aim, the want was to help U.S. businesses. So if we can help the small business person, especially along the way to stay afloat, that would be the want.
All right, a powerful 7.5 magnitude earthquake struck off the northern coast of Japan on Monday, triggering tsunami warnings and widespread precautionary measures. Holy smokes.
7.5, huh?
Yep, 7.5.
So just by comparison, like when we got all those earthquakes, you remember a couple months ago when we had like 5 of them in Louisiana?
Yes.
Yeah, we were like around a 4.5.
I think the biggest one we got up to was 4.5.
Yeah, that sounds right.
I could say we got up to a 5, but I don't even think we did.
Yeah.
Now, so far, there have been few reported injuries and no major damage. No issues at nuclear facilities. Hooray. Okay. Mm-hmm. Officials warn that aftershocks could continue for days and urge people to stay alert.
Well, the biggest concern when there's an earthquake off the coast of Japan.
Yeah, but it's a big old tsunami.
Oh. I was going to say Godzilla, but I like your answer better.
Godzilla.
It's 6:12 at Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Before we take our first break, got to remind you about Guarantee Health Solutions. Love the partnership we have with Guarantee Health Solutions. Love their mission as well, because their mission is patient-based first. They're here to help you in your medical office. In no matter what type of medical office you're running, you're going to find your way into their 4-pillar system. Build, sell, deliver, measure. That's what they do. And it starts with the patient in mind. How is your relationship with your patient? How are you taking that relationship with the patient and making it able to scale without losing sight of the patient and in the process? Whether you're talking about the front of your office, the back of your office, how you're handling your office, it all comes back around to, are you taking care of your patient first and foremost? If you want to learn more at guaranteehealth.com. Alan had Godzilla? Yep.
Yeah, I know, Byron. I'm surprised he hadn't blew me up yet.
What?
Islamabad.
Oh.
Angry old guy caller. I don't even know. Does he have a name?
I don't think so. Ask him next time. Just say, what's your first name?
Thank you for being an avid listener.
Thanks for being a constant dick.
And the crazy thing is, JP didn't do anything. And he's over there calling me a prick. I'm like,
By the way, if you had a great weekend, I'm super happy for you. I had 0 weekend, so two DJ gigs. I had 2 DJ gigs on Saturday. I had the kidney walk to start off the day, and then I had a wedding north of Abita to end the night, which meant my night about 20 minutes after that. And oh, by the way, I don't know if you I don't know what time it started up here, but in order for us to get that cold weather, an absolute monsoon rolled through. And it like no.
I was at Texas Club and I left something in my car, so I go outside, I open the back door to the club, everything's coming down. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna stay in here for a minute.
It was brutal. The drive home was brutal. The good news is like I was pretty much alone on the interstate.
Was Christy able to go with you?
No, Christy was in Houston with Abby for basketball.
You wear oversized kitty earphones when you DJ.
No, my DJ, my decks, the headphone jack is broken, so I can't even use it right now. And it's old, so I can't find somebody to fix it.
Oh, Lord.
.616 Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. Oh, my word. Rough weekend for the Tigers on the baseball diamond. LSU swept for the 2nd consecutive weekend in conference play. That, by the way, is the first time that's happened since 2021. Texas A&M just outscored them 22-8 over the course of the whole weekend. And, of course, Ole Miss swept LSU the weekend before. Coach Jay Johnson knew this part of the schedule was going to be a tough one. Cut 17.
When I looked at it, when we get it in September, may not draw the attention of some of the ones we played earlier or some of the ones we're going to play later, but I knew how quality this team was going to be. They got completely derailed with Friday's starter and they're 2 of the best hitters in the league were there and then they weren't. And then Ole Miss, same thing. I saw that storm coming.
Sunday, LSU lost 5-2. Tigers hitters were 0 for 7 with runners in scoring position. Zach Cowan gave up 4 runs in 2 2/3 innings. LSU is now 6-12 in conference play. Coach Johnson not giving up on the season, though. Expects his players to keep fighting. Cut 18.
The last 3 years, it's been a lot of fun to show up here. It's not as fun right now, but you still have to. That's my job, and it's my coach's job, and it's these players' lives. This is the most important thing to them, so we owe that to them.
That's the thing about this team that's so frustrating is a winning streak can break out at any time. I mean, the talent is there. It's just not gelling together at the same time. You're not getting bats and pitches at the same time. You get hits when you give up walks. And you're not getting hits when you're getting strikeouts, right? So, and that's not to say that there aren't weaknesses. There are plenty of weaknesses that are just very, very glaring. But the potential is what makes it so frustrating. Meanwhile, over at Tiger Park, if you're looking to follow a winner, I would point you directly to Beth Torina right now. LSU softball has gotten hot, sweeping Ole Miss over the weekend with wins of 6-4, 7-6, and 8-5 over the weekend. Ole Miss played well, but LSU's softball team is getting hot at exactly the right time. They are now looking at the overall record. They're 32-14 overall. They're bumped up to 9-9 in conference play. And if you think the baseball Southeastern Conference schedule is tough, softball might be even tougher from top to bottom. Softball is going to roll on to play Mississippi State. No midweek game for softball this week. They got Mississippi State in a 3-game set Friday, Saturday, Sunday at Starkville. Meanwhile, as we can keep it moving here, this will be the final week, of spring football practice for LSU. Our news partners at Louisiana Radio Network highlighting running back Dylan Jones. He's moved to the top of the depth chart. He was Wisconsin's starting running back last season before the year was cut short by turf toe. He says his decision to come to LSU, despite the Tigers already having a crowded running back room, came down to one guy, Lane Kiffin.
Playing under Lane Kiffin, I don't think nobody really want to pass that up. And then I'm saying Coach Kevin Smith, I feel like he's probably the best in the game. You see what he done. I mean, when he played football, and then you see what he did with the previous running backs that he had. So I feel like it was a no-brainer. Why not LSU?
So spring football wrapping up after this week, and then it'll be all eyes on just baseball and softball until the athletic calendar wraps up in a little over a month and a half. It's 6:20. Here comes the Fox Business Report. Why don't I? Oh, there. Okay, never mind. Boop 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 boop. So the wedding, and I'm still not used to this because I've done very few weddings lately. The wedding reception is pivoting more towards utilizing your reception to generate social media content. Like the bride had a very specific playlist. She actually got she sent someone over to correct me when I strayed from the playlist. She was super sweet. No, she was super sweet, but like had a very specific playlist. And I'm looking at this and I'm like, I'm not going to be able to keep people on the dance floor all night. But what happened was I was wrong because they were on the dance floor in like short bursts enough to make 30-second films. With the camera up, like they hired photographers, okay? I mean, you have a photographer for your wedding. Right. Well, yeah, but like instead of just having your normal videographer and photographer, you've got someone out there who is going to get all the live action shots that can give you short form video. It's really brilliant from a business perspective to say, don't worry about how your guests trying to do things on their phones. Like, we'll handle this in a way that shows off the whole crowd better on Insta, better on TikTok. Like, it just, I'm not used to it. Yeah, I'm not used to it, but I'm super appreciative of it. Oh, yeah. Oh, my reception, Christy and I, we had a videographer, but it was, I mean, yeah, our video was on DVD though. Like, it's not. Wow. I don't hate it though, you know. Oh, they're young. They're young. I don't know. I didn't get the. Yeah. 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 All right, let's go ahead and start off on the interstates for your Monday morning. We have got not a lot going on, y'all. It's a sleepy Monday to start off with, to be sure. Oops. I-12 westbound coming in from Denham Springs. We don't even see our normal congestion around Range Avenue right now. If you back it up to Walker, we're not seeing any congestion at all back there either. So I-12 westbound looks great. I-10 westbound looks great. Not just coming in from Ascension, but all the way through the city. Flipping it around to 10 eastbound, coming back from West Baton Rouge or points beyond. We're golden there as well. I-110 looks good in both directions. Surface streets. The only thing on the big board right now is I hesitate to even report it. A stalled vehicle, Berwick at Trammell. If you know where that is, we should give you a prize. Like, that's going to bother absolutely nobody. So, sleepy Monday to start off. Let's hope we can keep it that way. Okay. All right. Berwick and Trammell. I knew this sounded familiar, but I couldn't have placed where. Technically, that's in Sherwood Forest. Technically, that's less than 3 miles from my house. So
It still won't do anything to
no,
anybody.
but it's a resident. So you know where Flannery Road Park is, the corner of Goodwood and Flannery?
Yeah.
Okay, so go north of Flannery Road Park into the subdivision.
Oh,
I
yeah.
know. It's totally residential. Like
Somebody just probably
not
even awake.
I thought I recognized the Berwick, but I knew I recognized Trammell. Trammell spits out on a Goodwood. That's why I recognize the name. But like, if you had given me 20 guesses, without looking it up, you give me 20 guesses, I would not have come up with that. So, yeah.
And I've never even heard of either. So,
well, again, absolutely nobody bothered by it. I mean, it wasn't even a wreck, so there wasn't even a noise. It's just a stalled vehicle. All right, it's 6:25 at Talk 107.3 FM. Normally we do Moral Dilemma Monday at 6:50, but because of the news from the Supreme Court, I wanted to get Lana Venable in from Louisiana Lawsuit Abuse Watch. So we're going to bump Moral Dilemma Monday up till now. So kind of a condensed version, but let's roll. All right. Today's Moral Dilemma Monday coming in from businesswire.com. And shout out to Brie Lynn for bringing this one up because she actually kind of touched a nerve a little bit. Gen Z faces financial pressure and turns to parents for financial help and guidance. Mm-hmm. The basic question you're asking is, how long do we keep the kids on the payroll?
Right, until you boot them off. And so two angles with this. So at what point does this become enabling? And then here's the second question. Does cutting them off build independence, or does it create long-term harm? And I would even venture to say, would it create tensions with that father-daughter relationship or that mother-son relationship?
Why would it create tension?
I mean, you're basically kicking the bird out the nest and saying fly.
Okay, so let's walk this through, because this touched a nerve with me because we're about to have to walk through it, right?
Yeah.
You know, our daughter's thriving at Southern Miss. She's doing great. She's got everything but a job.
J-O-B.
Now, admittedly, it's tough because I know everybody can get student jobs and whatnot, but when you're there one semester at a time and you're packing up and coming home, and then you're going back and you're coming home and you're going back, like, how are you expected to live up to your responsibility and the promise you made to your employer if you're only there for like a 3-month stint? Right?
Very true.
And I respect it. I'm working under the assumption that I can respect my daughter being honest to say, I haven't got a job yet because I don't want to commit to something that I can't stick by. Meanwhile, though, it's like you're full of crap. You're just procrastinating, right? And you want a job now so you can start to build up a little bit of coin. It's not going to be a great job, but it's going to,
same.
Right.
I walked through the same path.
It's going to pay for your Starbucks or 7 Brew or wherever the hell she goes. I would prefer PJ's, which they have a PJ's in Hattiesburg now. Ooh. But I would prefer her go to, but like, you're going to pay for your day-to-day stuff, all the little, creature comforts that we're used to. And also hopefully sock away a couple dollars here, a couple dollars there, because you're not going to find your dream job right out of college. And if you don't find your dream job right out of college, you're not getting out of the nest.
And you aren't, because you know what they say. Right. When you're going to look for a job, you got to have experience. Well, homeboy.
Yeah. You can't have experience without a job. You can't have a job without experience. Yes. The other part of this, though, is that the study that you had sent me says 2/3 of parents with Gen Z children, 18 to 28, by the way, say their children rely on them financially, whether for money, housing, or other support. More than half of those parents say that support is straining their own finances. So here's where I would break that down. Like, when it comes to housing, how is it a strain on your finances? Were you going to rent out their room or something?
That's that part I don't understand. Okay.
Like, if they come home and they're just not out the nest yet, right? But you can see that they're working. Like, if they come home and they have an entry-level job somewhere, then, like, okay, they're living in your house. They're not burning up more electricity. They might be eating more groceries. But honestly, is that...
And that's the same thing as, for example, my first 2 years of college, I lived with my parents.
Yeah.
That's the same thing as me living with them when I'm 8 years old. So I might be eating more, but I went out and I bought my own groceries.
Yeah.
I just, yeah.
I don't know. I'm probably the wrong person to break this down because I actually dropped out of college early because I was working too much.
Oh, see? And I was the opposite.
And like, I went back later on. I went back much later on. But like early on, I was an assistant manager at Blockbuster Video, baby. I was taking those Star Maker series tests all the time to move up that Blockbuster ladder.
Love it.
Boy, was that an investment.
And see, my dad did what you're doing with your daughter. He supported me throughout college. He even paid my apartment because he wanted me to focus on my education.
Make no bones about it. When she gets home, she like between babysitting or other jobs through relationships with people here, she's going to work in her downtime for sure. So I don't know, what is there a right call? Is there a moral call as far as like you're not going to kick your kid out?
No.
Like let's just be honest.
As a mom, I never would.
Same.
I wouldn't let him become homeless. But at one point,
hit us up over on the chat. Hit us up on the chat. We would love to continue the discussion over there on Air Here's News. By the way, Christy reminds me, this is how old we are. Our video was actually on VHS. Our wedding video, what? That's okay. I need an extra minute with Scott anyway. You're all right. No. I know it's part of the clock for it to be in there, but there's not a spot that we have to clear. By the way, Christy let me know our wedding video was actually on VHS. Her dad upgraded to DVD later. Yeah. So all right, Miss Stephanie over at Zealand Street sounds off already. She says, we have a rent house next door. She's been living in the rent house since college and throughout her master's degree. I guess she's talking about her daughter. So hopefully this year, when she finishes her master's degree in May, she'll move to the East Coast and get a job elsewhere so that dad can rent his rent house. Okay. All right. So that's a good answer right there. But like, again, Miss Stephanie ain't kicking nobody out. We already know that. Miss Stephanie will let you live in the restaurant. No, I understand that. They yes. They pay ass. They're terrible. So
I worked for the yearbook.
Well, I worked, like I said, Blockbuster Video, baby.
Blockbuster.
Scott, come on in, man. Oh, I know. So I have a good 10 minutes to talk. We got till 47. You're here.
I'm a big announcement. We're going to put it everywhere and tag you.
Okay, please.
The mayor reaching out.
The mayor.
They reached out to
Yeah.
They don't trust anybody else.
That's crazy. Sorry, the wheels definitely roll. It does, but I don't know that you want it to. Yeah. There you go.
There's a nice logo right there.
Oh, thank you. We try to do that for our sponsors for the show. Just keep it rolling through because we're always on Facebook Live. The little green light's the camera there. And it's while we are on Facebook and YouTube, it's not built to be a video studio. So that's why the lighting's all jacked up and whatnot. So we do our best to make it work.
You get up at 3 a.m. too?
No, he gets up early. My alarm goes off at like 4. I snooze. I'm out of bed at the latest 4:30. I don't know how he does it.
Are you on Facebook Live the whole time?
Yeah, like right now. Like it's even when we're in commercial, we're still rolling. Which, by the way, I need to check in with them to follow up on the.
Well, since we're on Facebook Live, I gotta say sorry about the sweatshirt on the guy that came with me with the Texas.
Oh no! Well, they can't see him at all. So no, he's good to go. He's golden back there.
No. Do both of you live in Baton Rouge?
Yes,
Yeah. I live in Tierra. And then he lives not too far from me.
I'm in Sherwood. .636 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Before we dive in with our next guest, I want to put a button on that last segment on Moral Dilemma Monday, and of course leave it up to Miss Stephanie from Zealand Street Market to chime in, saying she's got a rent house next door where her daughter's at, been living there while getting her master's degree. So hopefully as soon as she's got her master's, she'll get a job and move out of there, and then the rent house can become the rent house again.
Okay.
See, I didn't think of it in that term, right? Like that's a legitimate, if you're talking about financial constraints of housing, that would be it. I was thinking of like the daughter moving back into her old bedroom.
That's how I was thinking it.
Right.
I'm like, how would that hurt you? She lived with you when she was 8 years old.
Yeah, but now we're talking about cutting off an income stream. So shout out Miss Stephanie. Yeah. I'm overdue to come see you. I need some pecan smoked brisket. All right. Time to dive in here. It's been since August 22nd that we saw the explosion at Smitty's over in Tangipahoa Parish. We thought it was done and it wasn't. And then we thought it was all wrapped up, and then it wasn't. Our good friend Pat Mashburn has been following it from downriver, where he was taking his own samples on a daily basis. Might even still be at this point. But outside help has been called upon, and we've actually got some of that outside help right now. Scott Smith, a.k.a. the guy in the blue shirt with us. How are you, sir?
Great. Thanks for having me, Brian. Appreciate it.
No, glad to have you in here. Give me 30 seconds on why is it the guy in the blue. I mean, you're physically wearing a blue shirt right now, but what's the genesis of that?
Well, I became an independent testing expert kind of by accident about 20 years ago. This coming June, I was wiped out on my own oil contaminated floodwaters, where I realized that there was no reliable water testing, soil testing, or anything else that anybody could depend on.
Yeah.
So I started going into communities everywhere, and my second disaster was the BP oil spill.
Yeah.
My 80th disaster, almost 20 years later, was this spill. So in a way, it's like coming back to Louisiana.
Well, then happy anniversary on your second disaster, because that was on April 20th.
Yeah.
So
that's right. That's exactly right.
Go ahead, little preview for this day in history coming up later on. All right, let's get into the latest over in Tangipahoa Parish. Before we get to the latest, can you give us a synopsis of what's taken us up over from August till now?
Yeah. To put this into perspective, I don't think a lot of people realize that this is Roseland, Smitty's fire and explosion is a combination of the East Palestine train derailment with the fire and explosion and the BP oil spill. Over 11 million gallons have spilled from oil from Smitty's. That's greater than the Exxon Valdez spill.
Yeah.
That puts it into, so you've got a combination combined with the Tangipahoa River. And just because the fire was put out in 9 days, this has been an ongoing spill because the drainage ditches flow into the Tangipahoa River all the way down into Lake Pontchartrain. And we have a fingerprint of contaminants, forever chemicals, that are matching, that are flowing downstream to this day.
Was there, I mean, was there a misuse of priorities early on to, we didn't look at containment enough, or was there not a way to contain it and keep it out the river? Because as I recall, and it's been a few months now, but as I recall, when this happened, all the attention was paid to what went up in the air, not what went into the ground.
That's correct. And what continued to go into the ground, into the rivers,
Right.
and what came down and on people's properties, the soot and ash. But Brian, the bottom line is there's complete systemic failure by the government agencies, the federal, the EPA, and at the state level here.
Because of where the priorities were, or there's
priorities. The priorities, bottom line is it's a systemic problem. You can go back to all the disasters, East Palestine and Conyers, Georgia, and everything that happened in the last 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about profits over people in our captured agencies. Call it what you want, captured, undue influence.
Mm-hmm.
The bottom line is that's got to change.
Well, I mean, I don't want to get into motive on this part yet because there's still a disaster to be taken care of.
Yes.
What are forever chemicals and how prevalent are they? And the third part of that is how prevalent do they have to be to make a difference in our lives?
Well, forever chemicals like dioxins and PFAS, they build up and they don't go away. They stay in the environment. They don't just dissipate. It's not like inhaling smoke and the smoke just dissipates.
Right.
And they build up in your body. They build up in the environment. And what you have here is the Tangipahoa River flowing into Lake Pontchartrain, and you've got people that depend on the aquatic life and the fish and the seafood.
So how much would it take to get Tangipahoa River to Lake Pontchartrain to where, like, I mean, that's West Lake Pontchartrain. A lot of the better fishing and crabbing is over on the east side. Like, what kind of volume does it take to make an impact on the lake itself?
It doesn't take much when you're talking about things that are in the parts per trillion or parts per billion.
Okay.
That's how toxic these
Is there a
chemicals
number in parts per billion that you can like quantify, or does it depend on the chemical?
It all depends on the chemical, and you can get into a variety of toxicity factors and indexes, and we have all that, and we cover all that in detail in town halls.
Well, and yes, and I don't want to get into that on the air because we have very limited time on the air.
Correct.
And, too much science and math will send people over to find another show. So let's stick with where we're at right now. How close are we to this being a lake-wide problem?
We don't know. We need to do them. The answer is we don't know. But the good news is we can find out and we can diagnose the problem. You can't solve the problem until you diagnose the problem.
Right. And it is going back to what I was saying earlier is that when this problem first happened, everybody concentrated on what went into the air and then subsequently fell back down. Everybody concentrated on what people were breathing in the immediate vicinity. And the perimeter, if you will, was not nearly wide enough because of the river. Once it starts flowing downriver, it's completely out of the control of the containment area.
That's correct. And the pathway to exposure. The Tangipahoa River is a pathway of exposure all the way into Jefferson Parish. That people don't understand, and we need to educate them about their ongoing exposure issues.
Okay, do we know, because you said 11 million gallons, right?
Yeah.
Do we know how many gallons there were on premises? That sounds like a lot.
We really don't have the full picture on that at this point. We know how many tanks. We know were greater than 11 million gallons.
Okay.
But gathering the information and verifying it, it continues to be a challenge.
And I'm not trying to gloss over it or anything, but I mean, I'm going from the angle of eventually it's got to run out, right? There was a finite amount of chemicals and oil on the property itself.
That's correct. But what you have is the products of incomplete combustion, like these dioxins and other chemicals called polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons. Every time it rains, it re-engages all that stuff and spreads to the drainage. The drainage ditches flow into the Tangipahoa River. That was never blocked off.
Right.
So basically, this is an ongoing disaster. Just because the fire out, it's far from over.
Right. No. That's. I think we're up to speed on that. I think we're moving towards the part of what needs to be done at this point to contain what's left.
Well, first of all, you should stop the flow of the drainage ditches into the river.
Okay.
That needs to be stopped, and hopefully it will be. And then ongoing river monitoring, and the river banks are key because these forever chemicals will deposit on the river banks. So we're monitoring that. And we need to understand that the river is so complicated. Like, it may be that if you live on a straightaway on the river, you might be better off because it looks like some of these chemicals are accumulating where there are big bends in the river. As you know, the Tangipahoa river miles and as the crow flies are two different things.
Oh no, totally. That's all of our rivers down here. They do that. We've got literally 3 minutes left, and I knew the segment was going to fly by way too fast. So I want to jump ahead to. And by the way, we got Scott Smith in with us. He's tested chemicals over at Tangipahoa Parish in what is still the wake of the Smitty's explosion. What's the latest? Where are we moving to right now?
Yeah. Why am I back here sitting here? As I got called in, the mayor of Roseland, Van Showers, and the band and the town board reached out for help and wanted to do well water testing because there's been potentially compromised town water, and the town draws its water from wells and treats it, and people have been reporting skin burning, and something has happened recently with an additional spill that may have been from Smitty's. So the town wants to understand what is really in the well water. Hopefully these results come back and they're fine, but we don't know unless we test, because you can't find what you don't look for.
No, exactly. We got 90 seconds left, Scott, and I appreciate your getting as much out as you can in this short period of time. So when it comes to, and I know not all of Tangipahoa is on well water, a lot of it comes from an aquifer that's just east of there. But when it comes to that, like, are we timeline wise, just in general, timeline wise, is it about the time it would take to soak down to get to where we get to the well?
Yeah, all soils are different. For example, in East Palestine, Ohio, it's taken 3 years to compromise the well water. So this is, and the soil here is very sandy, and there are a lot of concerns here. We've seen some things in well water on shallower wells that are concerning, but it very well could be. We don't know. That's why monitoring is key to all of this.
In the meanwhile, before we get you out of here, for those who are in the area, what should they be doing right now? Because, I mean, you don't want to not use your own water.
You can, everyone's, it's a personal choice, but, you can look in filter systems, reverse osmosis systems, if you want to take extra measures, have your well water tested.
Yeah.
But anything, if you're burning skin, if you smell something, if you feel something, say something, go see your doctor and take action.
He is Scott Smith, a.k.a. the guy in the blue shirt, gets called in for independent chemical testing in the wake of a disaster, and this is certainly one that's still ongoing. Scott, I appreciate a couple minutes this morning.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Quick break on air. I'm going to keep Scott around during the break, but quick break on air. We're coming back next talking coastal lawsuits with Lana Venable from Louisiana Lawsuit Abuse. Watch next. All right, so we're clear on the air, but just for the Facebook Live audience, we didn't get to everything right there. You have been pretty much, have you been like blocked, stopped? I mean, is it, I know there's been a want to not really ignore it, but downplay the severity here. And that's why I didn't want to get into motive, is because some folks who just say they're moving on, some folks will say there's an active protecting Smitty's and whatnot, but regardless of motive, has there been a closing of the book, if you will?
It's bifurcated. The closing of the book is coming from the state and the federal level. Yeah, but at the local level,
how local?
The mayor, the parish president, Robbie Miller. I have to tell you, in 20 years and 80 disasters, they have reached out and they have kept it a very professional, respectful dialogue.
Really?
And that has not happened in 20 years with me.
From that local level.
You've got the local level, and it's not about politics. It's not about what party they are. You've got people that are crying out for help and reaching out. So that's why I'm saying at the local level, you've got people trying to either begging for help and guidance. And it's not about, forget about motive. The bottom line is at the federal and state level, they have failed the local elected officials and the local community. That's the bottom line. Forget about motives. They've failed. When you
put that into, when you start backing up to the state and federal level, is there a way for them to know who's got what, like who's covering what? Because I would imagine if I'm DEQ, I'm saying this is an EPA thing. And if I'm EPA, I'm not seeing the number of headlines I need, so I'm kicking it back down to the state.
I've spoken to the DEQ, and in fairness to the DEQ, they've had no choice but to rely on the federal EPA. So this lies squarely with failure at the federal EPA. The federal EPA failed the state. They failed the local community. Therein lies the problem.
Yeah, that was kind of my gut instinct was like, if I'm DEQ, and by the way, state Louisiana Department of Environmental Quality, EPA is the Federal Environmental Protection Agency. So if I'm statewide, I'm looking at this thing and saying, no, this is much larger than what DEQ should be gathering. But if I'm federal, and I see where it slipped through the cracks there, is like if I'm federal, I'm not seeing this doesn't have the fiery pictures of a Deepwater Horizon. This doesn't have the fireball in the sky and a Mark Wahlberg movie written about it. This is, I see where like there's that gap.
Actually, there may be a little bit of a gap, but the fiery explosions, and if you see some of the pictures and videos I posted, it looks just like the BP spill.
So, well, yes, but that part's over with. We all knew that after the fire went out with Deepwater Horizon, it was still spewing oil into the Gulf. Like with this, it's just, it's there, it's in the ground. It's not a pipeline coming out from a well, I guess. So it's not being continually fed.
Well, every time it rains, it looks like BP.
There you go. Yeah.
Every time it rains, it's BP all over again.
That's. You hit me with an update later in the week after we get the testing done?
Yes.
Okay.
Well,
how long does it turn around on testing?
Oh, it takes 3 to 4 weeks.
3 to 4 weeks?
Yep.
All right.
And I'll come back on the show. We're going to have a town hall. We'll talk about it, and we want to get it out to the public.
And yeah, I know Roseland is just outside of the listing area for this, but I mean, we got the power of the internet.
That's why you got social media.
Yep,
you got
exactly.
Facebook Live.
Yep. So, Scott, appreciate it, man.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Looking forward to the follow up.
Thanks.
All right, y'all. Here's your money. Well, no, you're on Facebook, so just hanging out. Yeah. Oh, hang on. I got 60 seconds before I got to pivot and talk coastal lawsuits. Okay. Byron says in the chat, not for nothing, but wouldn't stopping the drainage ditches just before hurricane season be a problem? Let me re-ask that question. How easy is it to stop and reopen a drainage ditch?
I'm not the expert on that, but there are plenty of experts out there. That's a great point, Byron, and that's something that I would rely on experts to solve.
Yeah. All right. So we try to share. We keep an active chat.
No, that's good.
The glorified crew.
That's a good question. That's a great question.
Well, we're overdue for a hurricane, sadly. So
yeah, we didn't have one anywhere, not even in Florida. Yeah,
2021. Oh, for Louisiana, 2021 was the last one.
That's a whole nother show on weather modification, right?
I don't know what to believe. No, don't start that.
I'm not saying that.
No.
Some of the craziness coming out.
Hey, kill the mice real quick. We're at 652 Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Man, we covered a lot of ground in that very, very quick segment. Scott will be back on with us once the testing is done and we have results. God, appreciate his insight right there. And if you were watching on Facebook Live, we kept the conversation going to answer a few more questions. Meanwhile, we got to pivot. Friday, it was announced that the Supreme Court determined coastal lawsuits belong in the federal court. Joining us now to talk about this, we got Lana Venable from Louisiana Lawsuit Abuse Watch. Lana, how are you? Good morning.
Good morning, Brian. Doing well. How are you?
Doing very well on this end as well. Okay, so what does Friday's ruling mean?
Gosh, that's a loaded question.
Yes.
So I think, first of all, very good news for those of us who believe that the letter of the law is critically important, and how that is interpreted really does impact what happens to all of us in the state of Louisiana, not just companies like Chevron and the others that have been sued for activities that occurred decades ago under the existing set of rules at that time. But it also helps all of us to understand that this is a great message for our business community. It sends the right message that Louisiana is open for business. And just imagine, Brian, if you owned a company and you were looking to locate somewhere and you were looking at Louisiana, but well, you didn't know if you really wanted to go there because perhaps you could be sued decades later for something that you did under the regulations existing at the time. So this sends a really positive message out there. These suits do belong, in federal court. And we are glad to see that the Supreme Court has upheld that federal officer removal statute, which basically says just that.
Okay, let's start with the lawsuit that already had a settlement, right? Or the lawsuit that already had a number tag to it. That $750 million number, we could just flush that down the toilet and start back from scratch?
Not necessarily, although the hope is that with this verdict, that certainly that this case would be retried under that new statute. $745 million is what we would call not only a nuclear verdict, but a thermonuclear verdict.
Absolutely.
That is just an astonishing price tag. But yes, that likely will be retried in federal court. And this really does have broader implications, for private companies contracted with federal government to do work on their behalf. And it also shows that the law says that they should be shielded from local bias, which in this case rendered that astronomical verdict in the first place.
Is that once now that it's moving over to a federal court, I know as a Louisiana, and I feel like coastal lawsuits have been a headline my entire adult life. So once it moves over to federal court, are we thankful that there will be resolution? Are we upset that there's, it's back to the bottom of the docket? We got to wait this thing out again. Like, there's no way to put a definitive date on any kind of finality to this at this point, is there?
No, I don't think that we still don't have that. Although there is belief that the docket will move more quickly in the federal court system. But this particular verdict applied to about a dozen, I believe it was 11 of the 40 plus total cases.
Okay.
Of these coastal lawsuits, and so these 11 cases for certain must be looked at and under entirely new basis. So that is good news in calling them into question in the first place. So we do believe that that this is absolutely the right decision. It's going to send the right message to companies that want to do business here. And it's something that I don't think people think about, Brian, and this is what's really important to Louisiana Lawsuit Abuse Watch, is really looking at how cases like this really do affect every single one of us every day.
Absolutely.
You hear, well, $745 million price tag, well, that's huge, but Chevron, that doesn't affect you and me. But it does, because we know that every single day, those costs that arise from lawsuits are passed down to every single one of us, especially when we have eye-popping verdicts like this. And Brian, this is the reason that Louisiana was named the number 4 judicial hellhole this past year. Actually, not even the entire state, just those coastal lawsuits were singled out as the 4th worst judicial hellhole in the United States. So it's good to see that hopefully will help us change and move down from that number and get some resolution to these lawsuits sooner rather than later. Our hope is that they would, of course, all be thrown out.
Yeah.
But we'll have to see what happens. They'll certainly all have to be looked at again.
We got a minute and a half left with Lana Venable from Louisiana Lawsuit Abuse Watch. And yes, the number 4 judicial hellhole. The coastal lawsuits were just one front in which this war is being fought. There's multiple other fronts that we have talked about in the past. But when it comes down to it, when you see a $745 million ruling, is it fair to have assumed that had things stayed on the same path that they were, that 745 would have just been replicated or duplicated for all the other suits?
Well, I think that was certainly a strong possibility, and the fear that we talk all the time about these kinds of verdicts, and this being the first one of its kind, truly being precedent setting.
Yeah. So
when we have the opportunity to look at that again, it certainly does have ramifications, on all of these cases, especially those specific 11 cases, that we talked about. And another issue too is when we see these cases tried in local court, for example, Mr. Carmouche, who is trying these cases, was a major donor to the judge in Plaquemines Parish for this particular case. So just think the idea of them being in federal courts makes more sense because that's what the law says and that's where they should be. But certainly we believe that it will also help to remove some bias. While if the parish is determined a verdict needs to be rendered. This $745 million is excessive.
You
So,
open up so many more questions. We're out of time. She is Lana Venable with Losing a Lawsuit Abuse Watch. I appreciate you hopping on this morning.
Thanks so much, Brian. Appreciate you.
Absolutely. Likewise. Here comes news. Boy, she dropped that in the last.
I know you were like.
No, if the attorney in the case is making a contribution to a judge's election, why should that judge should recuse himself immediately? So the follow-up question, not on Carmouche doing his job and living his life as a citizen. It's on that judge. Like, why isn't the judge recusing himself right there? Damn. Scott was good, by the way. Yeah, he was informative and on layperson's terms, and that's, you know, and he was concise too. He gets that radio's on a clock. Although I could have gone down that rabbit hole with him all day long. I will nerd out on shit like that. The hell is that?
That's our $5,000 giveaway.
We have a $5,000 giveaway? I didn't print my promos for this week.
Citizens Bank and Trust.
Yeah, I could have told you that without even being told. Citizens sponsors all these things. Oh, wait, I got them right here.
Yeah, Kate put it in there for
No, I know. I thought I didn't print it, but I did. I'm still stuck on damn wedding on Saturday night. In fact, I got the whole rundown for the wedding. If y'all want to walk through if you want to walk through Saturday night's wedding, Sonny, if you want to re-walk through Saturday night's wedding.
Well, you got a break on Sunday, right?
I had to read at mass.
Pump up the volume.
Now a check on your.
Medical Monday, are they coming in?
No, we got to play a replay.
Okay.
So go back to last. Well, go back to last April. Tell me what's in there.
Okay. Last April, we have. He's calling. Dr. Annie Contreras. Am I saying that right? Yeah, Annie Contreras.
Do you know what the topic is? Play the first minute of it. Nope.
Okay. Next one would be Dr. McCormick.
All right, it is time for Medical Monday, and we are joined right now by Dr. McCormick, talking a little bit about seasonal allergies. Dr. McCormick, good morning. How are you?
Don't you worry. He said, don't you worry.
Oh, thank y'all again. Appreciate it. Horns down. 705.
I'm just partying.
No. 705. Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Hour 2 coming your way right now. Broadcasting live from the 180 Pros studio. Is it time for your IT to do a 180? Visit 180pros.com. Brian here with you. Breland producing. 48 degrees.
I love it.
To start off your 7 o'clock
love
hour.
it.
I know. Don't complain about it being cold, because 3 weeks from now, it's so hot. No, 48 degrees.
I know I keep saying this, but I think this is our last cold front.
I know.
So enjoy it.
I thought, we had the head fake a couple of weeks ago.
Yep.
And now we get another head fake. So I'll take it.
Yep.
I'll take it. I'll bite every single time. Busy hour this hour. Medical Monday coming your way in our next segment. Will Green from LABI is going to pick up that conversation we just had with Lana Venable in our last segment. We're talking about the coastal lawsuits moving to federal court. Lana did a great job of getting a lot of information out in a very short period of time. So Will's going to kind of pick up the baton and run with it. I've got some different questions for Will as well. As Lana was talking about the impacts on business, that's where I want to pick it up with the head of LABI, the Louisiana Association of Business and Industry. Want to run with that. Also want to talk about something that Lana talked about towards the end of the segment there. And it was like basically the last question I had for her, where she had mentioned that the attorney, the lead attorney in one of the coastal lawsuits, had made a political donation to the campaign for the judge who had ruled for that 704. Why wouldn't that judge recuse himself? That's where we're going to have to pick that up. Look, that's why I scheduled at least 2 segments on it. We're probably going to talk about it tomorrow as well. And then as this moves forward, because there's a lot to unpack. But right now, we need to pivot over and unpack top stories and trending. Baton Rouge Police Department's K-9 division participated in the USPCA Region 10 field trials, where K-9 teams from across the region came together to showcase their training, discipline, and teamwork. BRPD took home 8 different awards, had multiple top 5 overall finishers. Woodside Energy has awarded a $300 million tugboat contract to Green Tug Towing, tied to its Louisiana LNG project, pushing total in-state supplier commitments past $1 billion. Now, this deal is going to support shipbuilding in Plaquemines Parish, create dozens of jobs, and reinforce Louisiana's role in global energy infrastructure as the $17.5 billion project moves towards moves towards production. Taking you down to New Orleans East, baby. Looks like Michoud is going to be the home for the rocket engine for Artemis 3. NASA's going to roll the largest section of the agency's Space Launch System rocket out of the agency's Michoud assembly facility in New Orleans today. The rocket will be used to launch the second crewed Artemis mission. The section containing the liquid hydrogen tank, liquid oxygen tank, intertank, and forward skirt will be loaded on the agency's Pegasus barge for delivery out to Kennedy Space Center in Florida. Moving from New Orleans over to Karen Crow, Michael Vavasor, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, an escaped inmate who broke out of a transport vehicle in Opelousas on Thursday, was killed Saturday in Karen Crow after leading multiple law enforcement agencies on a chase, hitting an officer with a vehicle, and shooting a police dog. Got to take us up to Shreveport. A gunman identified as Shamar Elkins killed 8 children, including 7 of his own, shot 2 other people Sunday in an early morning attack of domestic violence carried out across 2 different houses. This is one of the nation's deadliest mass shootings, even though it was a domestic, one of the deadliest mass shootings in more than 2 years. Those killed ranged in age from 1 to about 12 years old. One of the adults wounded was the mother of some of the suspects' children. Police have not shared what sparked the shooting.
I know
One.
that story really doesn't sit well with me.
I flew right past that in the 6 o'clock hour. I didn't.
I know.
It didn't. I don't know what was
18-month
different.
old.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know.
I mean, if you're going to kill everyone in the room and yourself, start with yourself.
That's what I say. Yeah, that's what I said. I'm like, come on. Why take the kids down? And the mother of your kids
Now watch
down.
someone complain that I'm promoting suicide. But because I said that. If you're going to kill everyone in the room and yourself, start with yourself.
Mm-mm. An Iranian cargo ship that attempted to bypass a U.S. blockade in the Strait of Hormuz is in U.S. custody. Yeah. President Trump said Sunday on Truth Social.
He did.
Can't go that way.
He said they blew a hole in the engine room. Hey, get back here.
That'll put you down.
I know. Who tries to skirt a blockade?
Right.
I mean, the
Iranians?
What kind of misdirection do you think you're running? You know, is it kind of a look over there sort of, hey, is that Elvis? Oh, I'm going.
Right. Vice President J.D. Vance, Special Envoy to the Middle East, Steve Witkoff, and Jared Kushner, President Trump's son-in-law, will be traveling to Islamabad. How do we say that?
It's Islamabad. You got it right.
It's Islamabad. Okay. For talks with Iran, though Iran has said they don't plan on attending. I love it. They're like, all right, let's go. Can you confirm the other party is going to be there
before I'm wheels up to Pakistan? I'm going to make sure this is on everybody's Outlook calendar.
Right.
They declined the invite. It's not on the calendar yet. Let's go. We hang out in the palace, eat fresh fruit, play a little pickleball,
little grapes.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't even know what fresh fruit they have in Pakistan.
I don't either. But my thing is, this is very much so this administration. This is how we play ball. We just show up.
No. Yes. You work from a position of aggressiveness. You work.
Yep.
History rewards the aggressor. So you work from a position of, and you're right. This is not showing the hand, but how they manage the cards within the hand. Is to say, no, we're coming.
We're coming, and you're going to show up.
Yeah.
One way or another.
Yeah. It's one thing for them to say they're not going. It's another thing for them to not go.
So it's no surprise. Right. All right. A refund system for businesses that pay tariffs, which the U.S. Supreme Court ruled President Trump. Hold on. Hang on. A refund system for businesses that pay tariffs, which the U.S. Supreme Court ruled President Donald Trump imposed without the constitutional authority to do so, is scheduled to launch today.
My apologies. I know I wrote that one, by the way. It's a run-on sentence, but I wanted to get the entire story into one sentence. So I think for my purposes, I did well, but I wasn't reading it out loud when I wrote it. So that put a lot. No, I know.
I can never speak English.
It's okay. I want to hear from you. If you are a small business owner or wherever you're at in your business, okay, if you plan on taking advantage of the tariff refund system, sound off in our chat over on Facebook Live. We're live on Facebook every single day, courtesy of the folks at Lake Urgent Care. Love getting interactive in the chat, but I want to hear from you specifically because I want this to be content later on in the week. Mm-hmm. If you are taking advantage of or will attempt to take advantage of the tariff refund system, I want to hear from you. So sound off in the Facebook chat or just DM me because I want to learn more.
And last trending, a powerful earthquake struck off the northern Japanese coast this morning.
Mm-hmm.
And the meteorology agency issued a tsunami alert for a wide section of coastline. The waves only about 3 feet were observed.
Okay, well, that's not much of a tsunami.
I know.
I mean, I've created bigger waves in an above ground pool. No, when we all walk in the same direction to get a swirling.
I know, but you're
good old above ground pool days. I was about to what?
You remind me of the meme of this. I think it's like, what is it? A penguin, and he's in an inner tube, and he's just in the wave pool. I don't know.
Tsunami waves were quickly detected along the Iwate coastline. Officials reported a wave of roughly 80 centimeters. That's 2.5 feet.
Yeah, I know.
How do you know that's not just the sea? Like, you don't look out on the Pacific Ocean and say, wow, that's calm.
At first, they called it a 7.5 magnitude, but it was later upgraded to 7.7.
Ooh.
Holy smokes.
What's that last 0.2 that's going to get you?
I know.
By the way, I think bigger than the possibility of a tsunami is when you have an earthquake off the coast of Japan, you run the risk of Godzilla. And we cannot have the risk of no. It's 2026. Godzilla would not be the most asinine thing to happen right now.
Hell no.
All right. Yeah, I have a live read here, and I don't want to connect the company to that comment, so we're just going to break.
Just don't.
I don't know. I'm way behind. Oh, Baton Rouge Metro Airport. If you've got to escape Godzilla,
You should have.
if you're running from Godzilla,
What song is that? Godzilla. I think it's Guns N' Roses. Godzilla.
I don't think any. I don't know.
Blue Oyster Cult. Godzilla.
By the way, that segment is only racist if I do a Japanese accent. Just saying. Which, by the way, my Japanese accent cracks Abby up to no end.
All right, you gotta do it.
Oh, Godzilla.
Really?
We have some. They're actually Vietnamese, but live across the street from us. And this woman, the husband and wife are doing yard work. Kill the mics because I don't want to.
Medical Monday.
Yep. Oh, garbage, baby.
It's time for your weekly checkup. This is Medical Monday, presented by Our Lady of the Lake Health.
All right, it is time for Medical Monday, and we are joined right now by Dr. McCormick, talking a little bit about seasonal allergies. Dr. McCormick, good morning. How are you?
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you for having me.
I'm glad to have you on here. Obviously, you're probably hearing it in my voice. The pollen's been killing me. Let's go ahead and talk. You were a pediatric allergist and an immunologist over at Our Lady of the Lakes Children's Health. So you're just the guy to talk to about this. We all know what allergies, quote unquote, are. Well, no, let me rephrase that. We know what symptoms are. What is an allergy?
Well, in simple terms, to be honest with you, allergies just reference things that are triggering allergic responses. What do we mean by allergic responses? Symptoms of runny nose, congestion, sneezing, coughing, and for some people that can also affect their skin and maybe even manifest as food allergy.
What percentage of your patients would say they have allergies or conditions related to allergies? Basically, how common is this amongst the population?
Oh, with the population, the latest data suggests that about 1 in 5 Americans have some degree of allergy that they suffer from. And so we're talking a lot of people. In my particular practice, where I see mostly children, I'd say nearly 2/3 will have some degree of an allergic condition that we're trying to manage.
Okay, I want to expound upon that for just a second. So we're going to have to leave the rails here for a minute. And we're talking with Dr. McCormick from Our Lady of the Lake Children's Health about seasonal allergies. You said 2/3 of children, but 1 in 5 essentially overall. Do we grow out of it?
The answer is yes. Your sensitivity or how easy it is for you to react to your environment can change over time because people's bodies change over time, hormonal issues, age. We do see a fair number of children, especially as they get into their mid to late teens, change and oftentimes just develop more tolerance and are not as allergic. But of course, we have no way of knowing who they would be over time.
All right, let's talk about the difference between like regular allergies and seasonal allergies. What is the difference there?
Well, it's a bit of a semantic issue. When people refer to allergies, they're really referring to nasal symptoms, runny nose, congestion, sneezing, things of that nature. Seasonal is much more when you have certain times of the year, particularly spring and fall, especially in this time of year, we have a lot of children and young adults and older adults who manifest a lot of runny nose, congestion, sneezing, headaches, itchy, watery eyes that can just come about certain seasons, then take a dip, and then resurface again in the fall based on how allergic they are to their environment.
You could be both, though, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
We have some people who have year-round symptoms because they're sensitized to indoor allergens, things like dust mites, cat or dog, maybe even mold, which can be really prevalent indoors and outdoors, especially how humid it is in Louisiana.
We're talking with Dr. McCormick from Our Lady of the Lake Children's Health. Seasonal allergies, is it also regional allergies? I mean, is it more like prevalent in this part of the country?
You would think, to be honest with you, we all think that depending upon the part of the country, but we will say generally Southeast, Southwest will experience more pollen exposure. The closer you are to the equator of the world, or the warmer the climates are, especially with the Earth kind of getting a little bit warmer now, pollen is at its all-time highest. I mean, plants are putting out way more pollen than they used to 10, 15 years ago. Mm-hmm. And the pollen seasons tend to be a little bit longer. And so we kind of disproportionately are affected more in Southeast Louisiana.
Yeah, it's kind of God's cruel joke, right? As soon as the weather gets nice enough to get outside and enjoy everything, you just get attacked with the seasonal allergies.
Oh, absolutely. Now, I will tell you, if you're going to do anything outdoors, you want to do it midday or closer in the afternoon.
Really?
Pollen count especially. But, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Oh, it varies during the day?
Yes, absolutely. The highest peak pollen count is in the morning, usually between 7:30 and 8 o'clock.
I thought when you had pollen count, it was just, that was the pollen for the day. I had no idea it varied within the day.
It's in.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. Continue.
I was just going to say it's important to know that because a lot of people do activities outdoors. They walk, they run, and they do things. And a lot of our children are standing outside for buses. And so they're disproportionately affected because that's when the pollen counts the highest.
All right, let's get into a little bit about the why. Why do people get allergies, and what are some of the things that might trigger the seasonal allergies?
With the why, some children and adults they're born with that genetic predisposition for their body or their immune system to kind of get exposed and produce this type of response. And the response is that they would overproduce mucus, they'll cause their airways to get constricted, or their skin is a little bit more programmed to accept irritants from the environment, which become allergens. And we're talking pollen, we're talking foods, we're talking pets, we're talking mold. And it develops over time, and it varies depending upon how you are exposed. So the more you're exposed over time, we have a lot of people do things outdoors, indoors, and things of that nature, they can manifest a lot more symptoms and it can really impact their quality of life.
Symptoms wise, when it comes to regular allergies, we see things like I just, as an example, a peanut allergy, where you would, some parents actually have to carry EpiPens with them everywhere they go. Do you see the same symptoms for seasonal allergies that you do for other allergies?
Not necessarily.
Yeah.
Typically with food allergies, they would have, it could begin with skin manifestations, lung manifestations, and we're talking about rash, swelling, things of that nature, trouble swallowing, or that goes into more of the anaphylaxis, more severe type of allergic response. When we're talking about seasonal allergies, we're talking about the onset of itchy, watery eyes, runny nose, itchy nose, and sneezing. Nasal congestion is not necessarily a classic sign of allergies because that can happen with colds, viruses, and just irritants in the environment. But the more that nose is itchy, the more the eyes or the face itchy and people are rubbing their nose, the more there is a concern about whether or not they're allergic to something.
You know what? I'm going to skip around a little bit here because I want to follow up on that, Dr. McCormick, if we could. By the way, this is Medical Monday presented by the folks over at Our Lady of the Lake, and we're talking seasonal allergies. So if there's so many similar symptoms between, let's say, the common cold, allergies, or now over the last 5 years, you're going to throw COVID in the mix here. So many common symptoms. What does it take to tell the difference?
Typically, the duration of symptoms and how severe they are and the presence of fever. Yes, being allergic and having allergy type symptoms can make you feel rotten or crummy and have headaches and things of that nature. But when we're talking about predominant nasal congestion, a discolored discharge coming from the nose in the setting of coughing and or sore throat, plus or minus a headache, you tend to be a little bit more concerned about an illness, more often viral illnesses. And in this day and age, when you throw in the situation of feeling really tired, really fatigued, muscle, body ache, significant headache, you're worried about some of the more significant viral illnesses like influenza or parainfluenza. But when you throw in the decrease in the ability to smell and or some of those additional symptoms, sometimes it gets really tough to determine whether or not that's influenza or COVID. But COVID is much more likely to take away your sense of smell. Thankfully, it's temporary.
But aren't
for
we
most
clear of
people.
flu season already?
We still have flu in the environment right now. So it's not at peak time, but we still are seeing some patients with influenza right now. And so we were advising influenza vaccines to help reduce the significant symptoms and reduce hospitalization as late as last week. And so it's still hanging around, but it's definitely not nearly as bad as it was December through early March.
All right, let's talk about the parents that have children here. Well, all parents have children. Let's talk about our listeners who are parents. How about that for better phrasing? If our listeners who are parents out there, what do they need to be on the lookout for?
Well, the children with frequently runny nose and they're wiping their face, and also sounding stuffy and coughing a lot at nighttime. Those are the worrisome signs that keep children up at night. They can negatively affect their school performance. Their sleep will be disturbed. Yep. And so we end up being in a situation where those children are getting sick very often because the more frequent the nasal symptoms are, they will pick up more respiratory infections. And so it may be good to start with their primary care physician and see whether or not they do better seeing an allergist to help support their care, to help reduce that impact on their quality of life.
We got just a minute or so left with Dr. McCormick. He's an allergist and immunologist with Our Lady of the Lake. This is, of course, Medical Mondays presented by Our Lady of the Lake, where do we send somebody? If someone wants to learn more, if they want a consultation, if they want to schedule an appointment, where do they need to go?
Oh, they can go to OLOL Children's Health. You can go to Allergy and Immunology. You can find us there. You can call 225-765-5500, and you'll navigate the prompts to find our allergist and our organization. And you can always go with your primary care physicians and let them know that that you would like to seek further help with regards to those nasal symptoms and or allergy or allergic conditions, and then they'll get you in touch with us as well.
I'm sorry, one more, and I've got to kind of backtrack on this one a little bit. We're in like the pollen season and whatnot, but does allergy season actually end?
Yes, it does. I mean, right now we're in predominantly grass pollen season.
Yeah.
And so that's the biggest issue right now. And so it's going to die down going into late summer. And then we'll get into fall, which was more weed pollen season. So it just kind of cycles, and they kind of it's like a relay race. They hand the baton to the next predominant allergen. So, but it is highly individual. So I think that's the key to remember.
He is Dr. McCormick from Our Lady of the Lake. Fantastic stuff, man. Thank you so much for a great segment.
No problem. Thank you.
We're at 728 at Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. Full disclaimer, that was a pre-recorded segment. Always like to give you all the heads up when we are not live. Gonna dive into this top story of the morning in just a second. That is the mass shooting up in Shreveport. 8 people, children dead. We'll get into that in just a minute. Do need to remind you about 180pros, 180pros.com. Business owners, who runs your network? Who's your network provider? Who's your IT provider? Would you prefer an IT partner? Visit 180pros.com or do me one better here. Call them because they're local. 225-330-2200. Talk to somebody who's here in town, not someone who would have to come in from out of town should something go wrong with your network. You don't want an IT provider who just dials it in from time to time and then dials it back out. And then if something's wrong with your network and something's wrong with your business, you can't get business done. With 180 Pros, you get that partnership. Their success is based off of your success. They've got the latest in tech when it comes to cybersecurity battles. They will make sure to every extent possible that your network never drops. But when it does, same-day service is same-day response time is guaranteed. Learn more at 180pros.com. Obviously, no bigger story in the state of Louisiana today than 8 children shot to death in Shreveport early yesterday morning. 7 were siblings, and 8th was a cousin. It's hard to unpack what went down up there. and there's going to be a lot of unpacking over time. The Shreveport Councilwoman Tabitha Taylor, our News Partners Louisiana Radio Network, were able to pick this up, talk about the emotion of the whole thing. Cut 7.
I think about the mother and what this family has lost. I think about this community and what this community has lost. And I don't have the words to give you, and I'm sorry.
We're going to cut 9 next, where Caddo Parish Commissioner Ronald Cothran says this is further proof that domestic violence remains a major problem. We don't know how to break the cycle.
We have to do something different. We cannot continue to do the same thing and expect different results.
Because that's the definition of insanity. So we'll pick it up later. Here's news.
Tragedy in Shreveport. 8 children are shot to death. I just don't know if my brother is taken back. Shreveport Police Chief Wayne Smith was left speechless yesterday morning following the murders of 7 siblings and a cousin ranging in age from 3 to 11. They were all shot execution style by 31-year-old Shar Elkins, who was the father of the 7 siblings. Elkins was later shot dead following the police chase. Shreveport Mayor Tom Orfino says it's senseless. This is a tragic situation. Maybe the worst tragic situation we've ever had. The 9th child was able to escape. 2 women, including Elkins' wife, were also shot. Investigators say this stemmed from a domestic disturbance. Shreveport Councilwoman Tabitha Taylor was inconsolable. This is not a freaking joke. This is real. And this is the result of someone's death.
Kill my mic, please. She says this is real. This is not a freaking joke. You know what I'm just inclined to say? Top dog law. By the way, Jesse put the kibosh on us doing a bit on that. Kibosh. It's done. We can't do a top dog law bit. So they get all the commercials that are sent. Like if you're on Clear Channel or whatever, media monitors. They have access to media monitors, and I went. So no, I went and asked. I was like, "Can you give me this commercial?" And she says, "What do you need it for?" And I'm like, I'm working on a bit. This is part of Jackpot Justice. This is news and a sponsor that I have. It's going to relate to them." Yeah. And she said, "Dara's trying to land him as a client." So.
Hey, we'll come to you in a bit, okay? Okay. So Dara's trying to get him on.
Yeah.
But I would think that would be publicity for them, right? They would love it.
For Top Dog Law? Yeah. I think so too, but sales is going to be over. Look, I did a bit on Gordon McKernan once.
And he loved it.
Yeah. And he was like, "Thank you for the 4 minutes worth of free commercial." Or 7 minutes worth of free commercial.
It's not like we're ripping Top Dog
Law. Oh, no, I'm going to rip on Top Dog Law. But he would love it. But it's like, it's, I explained to Jesse, I'm like, this is the Oh man. I feel like this Monday's been a week.
It's been a busy show.
We're halfway done with the show. That's it. We're halfway done with the Monday show. Oh my word. Mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along here on Talk 107.3 FM. I'm looking at the rest of the rundown. We got State Representative Barbara Freiberg leading off our 8 o'clock hour, talking about everything under the sun with Moon at 8:15, and then the BREC Room takes over at 8:35. So we got a full slate for you, not to mention the fact that right now on the hotline, we've got the president and CEO of the Louisiana Association of Business and Industry on with us. Will Green's with us. How are you, sir?
Good morning, Brian. I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing very well as well. How much are you loving this last head fake of weather before summer kicks in?
You know, Brian, my sinuses are not loving it as much as I am, but it's nice whenever you can get a little bit of a cool front coming in to knock out some of the 85-degree weather we're used to. Man, I'll take it.
That's what I'm saying. The last ounce of reprieve is here. So I am not going to badmouth it. Even if was getting some allergy attacks yesterday, to be sure, but I'll take it. One more chance to wear long sleeves. So here we go. Friday, before the storm rolled through, news came down that the coastal lawsuits would be directed to federal court. The Supreme Court made that ruling. We talked with Lana Venable from Louisiana Lawsuit Abuse Watch about this in the first hour, but I wanted to pick it up with you as well. Let's start with your overall reaction.
Yeah, look, it's not very often that the biggest news of the week comes not in the Capitol, but in the courtroom. And so it's pretty incredible, right? An 8-0 ruling, unanimous decision out of the Supreme Court, stemming from a lawsuit that dealt with oil production dating back to World War II, Brian, when Chevron refined crude oil into aviation gasoline for the U.S. military. And so just try to wrap your head around that for a second, right? I mean, we're dealing with a lawsuit against Chevron as a result of activities where they refined oil. They stepped up for our country back in World War II, Brian, almost 80 years ago. And so a huge win in a unanimous decision, which, is, as you know, doesn't happen very often. It was an 8-0 decision. The only reason it was 8-0 is because Justice Alito did recuse himself because of what he said was he had some investments in a parent company involved in the case. But just a tremendous decision that could have really wide bearing implications going forward.
Okay, let's start with why it didn't belong in a statewide court. Why does it belong in the federal court? I mean, I know what was argued, but your elevator pitch on that one would be what?
Yeah, so the case focused on a narrow question on whether Chevron could remove the case over alleged environmental damage from state to federal court over what's known as the Federal Officer Removal Statute. Okay, it's called the Federal Officer Removal Statute. The statute authorizes lawsuits against federal officers or, and this is what really is specific to this case, or people acting under a federal officer for or related to the officer's official duty. If you're acting under a federal officer for activities or related activities, you can move cases from federal to state court, Brian. And so remember what I told you earlier, right? Chevron was called upon in World War II to act under a federal officer's order to drill and refine aviation fluid to put into airplanes so our military could fly in World War II. And so Chevron came in and said those activities, we were acting under contract, under federal officer orders. And so Justice Thomas, in writing the majority opinion, found that Chevron was able to prove that its wartime production of crude oil related to its wartime aviation gasoline refining for the military, which was a top federal priority. And therefore, all of the justices concurred and said this case does not belong in Plaquemine Parish. It belongs in federal court.
Now, with that in mind, how many of the 40 whatever lawsuits is this going to apply to? Are we able to take precedent from this and apply it across the board, or will it be a lot more selective?
Well, that's a good question. And so, we think that the decision, or I think that the decision was written broad enough and it was written strong enough that I think it has broad bearing. Okay. I mean, now that's going to be up for, the lawyers to decide and to continue to argue. But as I read it, I think it's a strong opinion. I think it's going to have really broad interpretations. I think it was an 8-0 decision. And so I think that the decision is broad enough to have pretty sweeping, there's 42 lawsuits right now, Brian. I think it should have broad interpretation over all of them, but that's going to be up to the lawyers to decide as the cases move.
Will Green from the Louisiana Association of Business and Industry is our guest. You want to learn more about LABI, your state's Chamber of Commerce? Do so at labi.org. On the business front, Will, let's talk about that for a second, and we'll get back around to Friday's ruling in a little bit. But on the business front, you talk to businesses throughout the state on a regular basis. What does this mean for existing business around Louisiana? How does it affect those who are already operating here?
Look, it's a huge win for legal certainty, fairness, and Louisiana's long-term economic competitiveness, right? I mean, when you've got a lawsuit of this magnitude hanging over the head of business, it obviously stifles growth and it stifles innovation, right? I mean, when you're a business and you see that you can get sued for activities that happened over 85 years ago, when the legal system can be weaponized against you, it creates uncertainty, right? And uncertainty stifles innovation. Uncertainty creates fear. Fear drives uncertainty, and uncertainty drives businesses out of state.
That was going to be my follow-up question, though, is that's for existing business. What does this mean for prospective business?
Well, look, I mean, I think, again, if you're a business looking to come to Louisiana, looking to expand in Louisiana, looking to grow in Louisiana, I think this resets the table a little bit, right? I mean, if you're looking to come here as a way to, in the legal environment, it's critical to your operations. You need certainty, predictability, and transparency. Unfortunately, right now, under the threat of a weaponized legal system, you didn't have that. Now you've got some jurisprudence to hang on to say, look, point to this case as a way to reset the table, come to Louisiana under some jurisprudence that we now have that says, you can have a little more certainty now, and let's reset the table. Let's go market ourselves with a little bit more certainty and predictability. And so hopefully, we can kind of go back and reset the table a little bit as a we can market ourselves, look at our tax climate, right? Look at some of the things done through LED. Look at some of the things we're doing through LA Works. Look at some of the things we've done with affordability in Louisiana. We can wrap all those things up, tie a ribbon around it, and market ourselves as a state that you can come and do business. And so, look, this has been a 10-year lawsuit, right? And again, it's not over yet, but it shifts the case to the place that it should have been all along, to federal court. And so that's again, we can bring in some certainty now where before there wasn't.
Okay, you hit on. I think you touched a nerve right there. By the way, Will Green, President and CEO of Louisiana Association of Business and Industry, is our guest. You say it's not over yet, and that's an important point to note, because that none of these 40 plus whatever cases have come to resolution yet. Now we have to get back in line to wait for them before federal court. And oh, by the way, we still have the uncertainty of that outcome. When it comes to business in Louisiana, there are still battles to go here. Where it's just I want to breathe a sigh of relief because of what went down Friday, but at the same time, though, this is not, like you said, it's not over.
No, and look, I want to commend Chevron for standing firm and for saying, look, despite pressure, despite immense costs, we're going to do what's right, and we're going to stand up for what we believe in and the rule of law and justice, because they knew that if they stood up and if they got the right decision, it would have a ripple effect for other businesses, right? And they did that, and now the case is in the proper jurisdiction, in front of the proper judge, and in a better informed jury that should hear this case and should have heard this case all along. instead of going through 10 years of costly litigation, of back and forth. And that's what we talk about, right? The civil justice system shouldn't be weaponized against business and industry and the citizens of the state. Because remember, the state also intervened. And so tax dollars are going against, are being used to weaponize against business as well here.
Mm-hmm.
And so finally, the case is in the right jurisdiction, in front of the right judge, with a better informed jury to hear it. And we think the result will be a successful win for business here, and we can get back to business, and we can focus on where we should be, which is growing the state for all of our citizens, right? Instead of distracted by lawsuits meant to harm our state.
Okay, one more to add on to that, though. It's the right jurisdiction, right court, right jury. How do we get on the right timeline?
Well, hopefully it'll be decided sooner rather than later, right?
Yeah.
And then, you know, all the other 42 lawsuits will follow, and we can finally dispense with this mess, get back to doing business, get back to employing people in this state,
right.
Get back to growing jobs in this state. You know, again, Brian, we've talked about it, right? We're losing our working age population at a higher percentage than most other states in the country.
Yep.
We have a lower labor force participation rate than most other states in this country. And so we've got to grow jobs, not lose jobs. And we've got to attract more business, not sue business.
Right.
And so hopefully this is the first, you know, a big step in that right direction. And so that's why, again, this is so exciting Friday. We think, you know, it's finally the decision, a big decision we've been waiting for, that'll hopefully send a message to the backbone of the state, which is the oil and gas community, that, all right, let's reset the table here. We got the case in the proper venue, and we're going to make a leap forward here.
The fact that you have to say it out loud, we have to grow business, not sue business. The fact that you have to say that out loud is astounding to me. Last one before I get you out of here, and it's back to the timeline one, is just as a layperson, can I expect the timeline to accelerate as we move forward? For example, when one of the 42 clips off, and then 2, and then 3, we'll start to build precedent that can help speed up the rest of them.
Look, I hope so. You know, unfortunately, you know, litigation sometimes doesn't move fast, but, you know, I hope it does. You know, that'll be up to the parties that are ultimately in the litigation to figure that out. I'm sure hearings will be set. I'm sure orders will be announced, and, you know, they'll get into the phases of litigation. But that'll ultimately be up to the timelines of the courts and things like that. I can't really comment on all that, because I'm not a party to the litigation. No. But I know that everybody, I'm sure, is ready for this to be over, and you know, and get back to doing business. But ultimately, again, as the State's Chamber of Commerce and State Manufacturing Association, we're doing everything we can to grow business in this state and to make Louisiana a more attractive state to do business. And look, we've been excited for the progress we've made over the past 2 years, Brian. We really have. This 100%. Has been a black eye. But despite that, I think we have partnered with the administration and partnered with the leadership in the Capitol to do a ton of amazing things. Just imagine getting this out of the way.
Right.
How much more we'll be able to do. I mean, the sky's the limit for this state.
Absolutely. In the meanwhile, and I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer about it, it's big news across the board. He's Will Green, President and CEO of LABI. Always appreciate it, man. Talk to you soon.
Thanks, Brian.
Thank you. Got to remind you about Landmark Bank. LandmarkBankLA.com is the website. LandmarkBankLA.com. When you have a community bank, you have a banker. When you have a banker, you have someone you can lean on when it comes to your future. Talking about borrowing, talking about investing, talking about saving for retirement. Learn more at LandmarkBankLA.com. LandmarkBankLA.com. Quick break. Come back with This Day in History next. I technically owe them 22 seconds. But I was way, way behind. Oh, I'm working on another bit in its stead. And not about Top Dog. Top dog law. Every commercial out there for politics says the other person's a liberal. I feel like our negative campaigning has gotten weak. Like, what happened to the good old days when someone was a, quote, known homosexual? Like, what happened to the good old days? You know what I want back? I want the doctored Kip Holden photo back. Remember the doctored Kip Holden photo with the black eye and the fat lip? Remember that? I want that kind of negative campaigning back. Give me, I got the scoop on this guy and he punches dogs in the snout. Like, I want the good old fashioned, the good old what made Louisiana, Louisiana type of negative campaigning. I want the grainy photo of what might be the politician and what might be a prostitute across the table from said politician. I want this. Hey, is this John Fleming out at City Club? Maybe, maybe not. But here's the photo. You decide. I'm not saying it is, but I'm not saying it is. I want that level of remember when we were good at this shit. I got punchlines I've added to it. It's really like I'm working on it. It'll be there. No, what I'm saying is if you're going to attack the other, go after it. Don't just say so-and-so's a liberal. I'm not sure I have. I'm gonna need to go get the my notes for BREC Room after the. Oh, snap.
Today's 420.
Yes, it is.
Do your plans.
Never too much, never too much. All right. This didn't print for shit, so I'm getting rid of it.
It's Allergy Awareness Week.
Yes, it is. Then we played the right Medical Monday, didn't we? Give big and help dreams for Louisiana kids fighting life-threatening illnesses with our Dreams Come True Radiothon, powered by the Baton Rouge Clinic. Going on all week long. Talk 107.3 and the Baton Rouge Clinic are proud to bring you the 2026 Dreams Come True Radiothon this year. Chad's Collision, Subaru, Lewis Mechanical, Patient Plus, and River Parish Contractors have each pledged to match your donations once we reach $1,000. Whatever amount you can spare will get us that much closer to making more dreams come true for local kids battling life-threatening illnesses. Donate today at talk1073.com. All right, it is time for This Day in History. Let's roll. Pew. Ba-ba-dee-ba-ba-boo.
Keeping it going with depressing news. Didn't you say it was last weekend?
Today's the last day of the week of like tragedy.
Horror news.
Yeah.
Yes. All right. Starting it off with happy news. 1912, Fenway Park hosted its first game in Boston, making it a huge date in sports history.
So that same day over in Detroit, Tiger Stadium opened up.
Oh,
So,
okay. Cool deal. In 1939, the first commercial FM radio station began operations in the U.S. FM would later change music listening and radio quality.
Cool. What station?
You know what? I should have researched that.
Yeah.
Let me see.
You knew I was going to ask
I know,
that, right?
I know, and I didn't research it. I'm going to have to. I thought that was cool, though. 1972, Apollo 16 landed on the moon. 2 astronauts touched down while one stayed in orbit.
Awesome.
And they didn't just fly on the bad side of the moon.
Dark side.
Dark side. Gosh, tragedy. 1999, the Columbine high school shooting happened in
No. Say it again. You blew. It's Columbine.
Columbine. I knew that. All right, the Columbine high school shooting happened in Littleton, Colorado.
Yes.
It remains one of the most defining and tragic school shootings in U.S. history.
Yes.
Keeping it on that. 2010, the Deepwater Horizon rig exploded in the Gulf, killing 11 workers and leading it to the largest oil spill in U.S. history.
Yep. By the way, just one quick note. 2008, Danica Patrick won the IndyCar 300 in Japan, but she became the first woman to win an IndyCar championship event. So, stepping away from the tragedy for just a second, but
so cool. And in 2021, former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin was found guilty in the murder of George Floyd.
Yep.
I remember when that just, all over the news.
Yep.
What else you got? That's it?
No, that's it for the events.
Okay, birthdays. Carmen Electra, Baywatch, pop culture icon. She was born in 1972 on this day.
Yeah.
Luther Vandross has a birthday today. That's all I got that's notable.
No, that's not all you got.
Let's see.
It can't be all you got. There's a really, and it's the week of tragedy. There's a really big birthday today.
I have Jessica Lange. She's known from
that's
American
not week
Horror.
of tragedy, and it's not U.S. It's not former Supreme Court Justice, or it's not John Paul Stevens either.
No kidding. I didn't even have that on my list.
It's the week of tragedy. What's the worst possible birthday today? Who's the worst person ever?
John Wayne Gacy? I don't know who.
No, he only killed a handful of people. Who's the worst person ever in the history of the world?
Osama bin Laden?
No.
Okay.
Born on this day in 1889 was Adolf Hitler.
Oh my gosh. Of course. How did I just skirt past that?
I don't know.
Lord. Okay.
don't know.
Notable deaths on this day. Avicii passed away in 2018. I know.
Levels was a banger.
Yeah, sure was. That's the only one I have that's notable enough.
All right.
Let's see. National Day today. I have Chinese Language Day. That's not really.
I mean, it's 420, so I'm sure everybody's going to talk about smoking weed.
Plants. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. 7:59, about to roll over to 8 o'clock. Oh, we got to get out of here. About to roll over to 8 o'clock. News, traffic, weather. The state representative Barbara Freiberg leads off our third hour. That's coming up next right here on Talk 107.3. Happy birthday, mein Führer. Happy birthday. I mean, who celebrates Hitler's birthday? Can you imagine trying to celebrate Hitler's birthday? Is it an ice cream cake?
Oh, hell, Hitler. Like, can you imagine?
walk around for a sec. Oh. Oh.
Yes, ma'am. We'll come to you in 2 minutes. Okay.
I had to go get my BREC Room notes. Yeah. So stupid. 806 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Hour 3 coming your way right now. Brian here with you, Bree Lynn producing, starting off the 8 o'clock hour at 51 degrees in downtown Baton Rouge. We broadcast live from the 180 Pro studio, not your IT provider, your IT partner. Learn more at 180pros.com. We got a busy hour this hour. We're going to talk to Moon in our next segment. Got the BREC Room coming up before we get out this hour. But before we get into any of that, though, State Representative Barbara Freiberg is on the hotline right now to bring us up to speed on what's going on in the legislative session. Representative Freiberg, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Brian. How are y'all? Marvelous Monday to you and Breland.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. And likewise, it's got to love that last little dose of cold weather before summer starts to roll in here and, punches us right in the chest.
It will. It will.
All right. Before we get into some of your bills, I want to to just get the general overview. How are things going at the Capitol?
You know, I think this has been one of the smoothest sessions I've ever been a part of. I thank the leadership in the House and the Senate because I think bills are moving rapidly. There's a sense of decorum and unity and focus that I haven't seen in years. So I think it's been a great session.
Can you attribute that to anything in particular? I mean, is there a why behind that?
I do think, as people have said again and again, there are not as many bills that the governors is as involved in. I also just believe that our leadership is excellent. And when you have great leadership at the top, you can move effectively and efficiently.
Has there been, with the lack of a gubernatorial, a full-on gubernatorial agenda, has there been, I know we talked workforce a lot on this show in the first couple of weeks, but has there been an overriding theme?
Absolutely. That's certainly been one of them, because with all the new development of industry in this state, the billions of dollars, workforce has become critical. And actually, I've had a couple of things that will work to help in the workforce development area of education programs. So absolutely, it's been a top priority in the legislature this session.
Well, then that's a good pivot point to talk about your bills. Which ones are you looking at that would help out on the workforce front?
Well, we have some that are in education. The STEM Commission moving from Regents to LA Works will help us target the needs of the workforce more readily.
Is this the advisory council one?
Yes, that's the advisory council one.
All right.
There are several that I have helped to co-sponsor that will be coming in from the education side. But, I have several transition bills, transition from prison to hopefully workforce kinds of bills that are out there. And I think we are particularly well positioned right now to take that untapped talent that we have that's transitioning and take them, educate them, provide them with services that they need, and therefore they will become another important piece of our workforce. I know you talked to Andrew Hundley last week, and we have some great initiatives working there.
All right, give me one. Talk to me about one that you're working on.
Well, here are some things I want to mention. Number one, the Board of Regents, I've been part of their Untapped Talent Initiative, where they are trying as the Board of Regents to deliver programs while people are still in prison. These are programs from post-secondary institutions. Secondly, as the governor announced last week, we have this demonstration waiver that allows Medicaid coverage during the last months you're in prison into when you transition out. So you've got health care, so you've got education, you got the medication part, and now the legislative part, which I've been working on with two transition bills. Number one would be a bill that would say when you transition out of prison, out of a Department of Corrections facility, you will have an identification card of some sort. We know that's the most important thing people need in order to get housing, in order to get transportation, in order to get jobs. My second bill, HB 168, is a bill that helps women transition. It's a bill specifically for women as they transition out. It can start 6 months if they've got parole, if they have had no parole denials in the last 12 months and no disciplinary offenses. They can transition with 6 months left to a program that will help to begin to establish them in the workforce and in the workplace, providing housing and providing transportation and providing other services that are needed.
That one looks like it's already on the Senate side, so that's clearly moving forward and has a lot of support.
very popular program. You know, we need to look so carefully at transition because we know 90% of the folks that are sent to prison will come out at some point. And we do know that we have a 40% or more recidivism rate, which means people are going back to jail. What we want to do is keep them from going back to prison, where we had our largest budget increase this year, into the workplace to become taxpayers. And so I think those are very, very important programs. And I really appreciate the support the governor has given to all of these elements.
State Representative Barbara Freiberg is our guest for just a couple more minutes, talk about what she's working on during this legislative session. Representative Freiberg, you mentioned the ID one and you mentioned the female parolee one, but I couldn't help but notice it's HB 274 talking about the Murphy J. Foster Promise Program. This looks like it would aim to get some folks, and there are exclusions to be sure, but aim to get some folks back on the training and education front as they exit.
I am looking at that bill, and what I am thinking right now, I'm having it revised so that it would give the opportunity for people who have gone through a re-entry program to apply for the MJ Foster. I'd like next year to expand it to those areas that you mentioned. But right now we have a study going on the MJ Foster and TOPS Tech, and it will take place during this year. So I don't know if there'll be some revisions next year, some more money next year, but I do plan on running that TOPS MJ Foster bill to allow those who have completed a reentry program to be eligible for it.
Why the hold off until next year? Why not? I mean, can it be amended in its current form?
Yes, I'm amending it right now. No, that's what I will run.
Okay.
The broader list, I will wait till next year.
Gotcha. Well, I mean, the broader list is kind of broad and does address some pretty serious crimes. So I don't think anybody would blame you if you just left those on the table to see some movement in the right direction and momentum from success, right?
Right, exactly.
And meanwhile, we're kind of at the midway point right now. As a legislator, what are you looking at for this next, like, say, 3-week span before we get to the home stretch?
I'm just hoping we can get all the bills through that are out there. One of the ones that I'm running, I don't know if you know, a couple of years ago, I ran a pilot in the 19th JDC that said anyone doing jury duty in the 19th JDC who wanted to donate their per diem to CASA could do so. And it's turned out to be a success. And I'm running a bill that's through the House to allow jurors throughout the state and district courts, if they work with it would be up to the district and would be up to the clerk of court and folks to manage the program. But any district that would like to have that same ability to allow jurors to donate their funds. And I have a bill that looks to assign identification numbers to our birth to 3 and 4 folks, because we don't know how successful they're being in school. Everyone asks me, what's the return on investment in early childhood?
Yep.
And I think the investment's at least probably 15 to 1, because we can look around the nation and that's what it is. But folks in the legislature say to me, well, I don't want to know what it is in other states. I want to know what it is in Louisiana. So I'm running a bill that will collect some of that data so we'll know how successful we've been. And I know we've been very successful. I think our early childhood programs have shown us how successful they are in the results we're getting K-3.
She is State Representative Barbara Freiberg. We'll check back in as we get closer to the session. In the meanwhile, thank you so much for a couple minutes.
Thank you, Brian.
Always.
Have a great day.
You too. Talk to you soon. The once I started digging in here, she's got more than a handful. I was only looking at 1 or 2 when we started that segment, but Representative Freiberg is doing work, to be sure. We're due up for a quick break. We'll talk to Moon on the back end of the break. Before we get you to that break, though, I do need to remind you about Neurojust. Neurojust.com is the website. Neurojust, of course, is spelled Neurojust. If you or someone you know is battling with depression and has been treatment resistant, give NeuroJust a look. Or if you've been battling depression and want to give them a look without going down the path of antidepressants, prescription meds, and the like, give NeuroJust a look. They're located right here in Baton Rouge. If you want their direct address or phone number, it's on the website, neurojust.com. I like sending you to the website because it explains in much more detail than I can get into on the radio as to what they do. It's called TMS therapy, transcranial magnetic stimulation. It focuses on the parts of the brain that affect mood, and they show results. I mean, results are people that have response rates in the upper 80%. It's amazing. I've seen the results up close and personal, talking to a number of their patients, up to and including my own mother. So, oh, by the way, insurance picks up the tab. Learn more at neurojust.com. Hello. Good morning. Morning. Oh. Struggle bus. Oh. All right. Oh. 822 Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. Looking to connect with Moon Griffon here in just a quick second if we can. Moon joins us. We talk about everything under the sun with Moon every Monday at about this time. We actually ran a little bit long there with Barbara, so I'm hoping we didn't miss our window, as it were. But Moon, you'll catch him in full 9 noon right here on Talk 107.3 FM. Don't forget, coming up after this segment, we dive into the BREC Room. Janet Simmons, interim director of BREC, is going to sit in with us, and we've got a full slate to cover there. Before we get to Moon, I want to remind you about the Baton Rouge Metro Airport. FlyBTR.com is the website, FlyBTR.com. If you are booking your travel for football season now, the Baton Rouge Metro Airport has got it going on once again. They did this last year. They're doing it again this year. A lot of success in this last year. The Metro Airport adding direct flights to away games and in from for home games, coming in from the other end, if you will, for the away games. October 10th, Baton Rouge Metro Airport will fly you out to Lexington to see the Tigers take on Kentucky. On November 21st, it's BTR to Knoxville for the Tennessee game. Now, if you're bringing in friends for home games from enemy territory, Delta has added a flight each for Clemson, Alabama, and Texas. The direct flights head out on Friday. They come back home on Sunday. So you got going to Lexington, going to Knoxville. There's one on that list I'm not seeing yet. I got to talk with Mike over at the airport to see if they're done yet, or if there might still be more to come, because I can think of one in particular, one very much in particular that would fly into Memphis before heading over to Oxford, Mississippi. But you can learn more and, of course, book all your travel plans through flybtr.com. All right, Moon Griffon's on the hotline. We got him now. How are you, brother?
Ron, I'm doing great, man. I had a wedding. I had a slide in Birmingham, Alabama. When all these young kids leave, you got to go out of state to go to weddings. And I don't like doing that at all. But anyway.
Okay, so is this where this people live, or was this a destination wedding?
No, this is where people live.
Okay, all right. I'm just making sure.
Graduated from Louisiana that moved to Birmingham. Now they're moving to Nashville. So yeah.
Imagine that, huh? I mean, yeah. They were from Louisiana and now they're just out of state, and there's no any sign of them coming home anytime soon.
No, let me give you one that did come home, but it's kind of along the same line. His brother got married in Phoenix, Arizona in late 24. So here we go, airplane flights, 2 hotel rooms, all this money. And of course, I'm not happy about it, but I go, and his brother and the wife, both from the New Orleans, Mandeville area.
Okay.
And the wife's mom and dad are from that Mandeville area. And they all moved. They were living in Phoenix, and 6 months later, they all moved back.
Oh, wow.
so when I saw my nephew and his lovely bride this weekend, I said, I want some of my money back. I said, y'all made me go to Arizona. And I said, I want my money back.
No,
so
crazy.
Anyway, I'm not
crazy enough, Moon, I DJ'd a wedding Saturday night in St. Tammany Parish in that area. So I was just north of Abita Springs Saturday night. So,
by the way, I wish that was the wedding I was at.
Yeah. Oh, a gorgeous place called Milisevich Family Vineyards. Like back when I was growing up, you had the Abita Quail Farm, and that was about it. This is down the road from there, and it is just absolutely stunning. Beautiful place. I don't know how you find it because it's in the middle of the woods. Like, how do you settle upon that? So this is where I want to bring our 200 guests to. But it was a gorgeous event, a wonderful event. So back at it today. I got to ask, how much are you diving into the coastal lawsuits today?
A lot. I've got Mark Eckert, Grow, Louisiana, Jason Isaac from American Energy Institute, and maybe even one more. So, no, we're going to look at that. I think it's a great win for the people of Louisiana. I do. I just think the lawsuits, and when the federal government ordered you to do something, you did it. We still think that's the big reason. I think it's the best thing happened to Louisiana in a long time. I really do. This anti-oil and gas mentality, sometimes of these big lawyers like Cormuch and them, is just blowing me away. So I think it was a big victory. I'm gonna have people to talk about the victory today.
Well, and look, I've learned over time. I don't vilify lawyers anymore. Like they're out there doing their job. They're playing within the parameters. They're playing within the field they're allowed to play in. You know, so that's why I'm hyped about this court ruling, the Supreme Court ruling from Fridays, because it sets parameters. And now, whether you're Carmouche or whoever you are, you know the rules, you know the venue, you know where you're playing, The free throw line's 15 feet and the goal's 10 feet high. Like they just have to know their parameters before they put together a game plan.
Yeah, Brian, I'm not. I got so many good friends that are trial lawyers. I never pick on trial lawyers. The TV commercial ones frustrate me to no end.
Same.
But the regular lawyers, and I said the same thing you said. Look, they're playing by the rules. This is the rules. I know a lot of wealthy lawyers. I go stay at the camp with some of them. They're good friends of mine. And I've had them tell me the advertising, and these are guys that don't advertise and make good money. They said the advertisement has created the lawsuit environment. This comes from the trial lawyers that are not on TV and radio and all that kind of stuff.
No, absolutely. And we are it doesn't stop the fact that we are the number 4 judicial hellhole in the country. So, I mean, it's like, I'm not going to vilify anybody, but at the same time, though, there are things that need to be addressed.
That's all I'm saying. Yeah. And I like what you said earlier about the goalpost. The backboard, the rim is 10 feet high, 15 feet. You got parameters, and I think that's what we need to get back to. And I think it'll make it easy. I just believe in other states where they have really good business climate, they got trial lawyers and lawyers that do well there too. Why can't we do both? We need to be able to do both.
Right. Well, look, I always call on that scene from Hoosiers, right? When Coach
Good
Dale
point.
runs out the tape measure right there. I live by that scene right there. Just know what your parameters are, and then you can play the game. In the meanwhile, we're about the midway point of the legislative session. Anything still catching your eye over there?
No, they killed a bill in a committee the other day that was going to cap some of the stuff dealing with truck drivers and injuries and liability. Yeah. And I was disappointed, Brian, for one reason. I like to see everybody have to vote on it. It was an 8-3 Republican committee, and we lose 5-4.
Right.
And I don't understand that. And 3 of the votes are Democrats, and 2 of the Republicans would have won more boisterous against the bill. That was a bill of frustration. Also, they're working with the top still on these students that I guess they flunk out or they lose it, they make them pay it back. And I don't know if that's good or bad because people get scholarships and it don't always work out for them. I mean, look at LSU, and just using LSU as an example, they give money for kids to play sports. And they don't perform that year, and then what happens? They don't go get the money back. So I kind of would be leery of them doing that, to be honest with you.
Oh man, you may have slowed down my momentum on that. I was all in, and now that you bring up a good point. I was totally like, if you're going to go to school on state taxpayers' dime, and you're going to flunk out, give me my money back. Would you opened up another part of that conversation I hadn't thought of yet.
Well, I just think that. Well, before we jump up and do something, let's think through this and make sure this is what we want to do. I'm not saying I'm for or against it as much as I'm saying, are we thinking out the box to make sure this is what we want to do? Yeah. Then can a company, let's say I come work for y'all, Brian, I'm working for you, and you say, Moon, got to let you go. You're just not getting the job done. And by the way, you got to give me my $50,000 back. I'm going to go, huh? Well, you didn't do the job. So I'm just a little leery of it. The other thing was, you see the number of Louisiana students we're losing out of our school systems. And, Brian, that goes back to our migration, and it goes back to making sure we create an environment that really works good for our people to have jobs and grow businesses.
Got him coming up 9 to noon right here on Talk 107.3 FM. When you coming back to town, man?
Next week. I'll be there next week. I think the 29th. I'm coming back. I was going to let y'all know on Monday.
All right. Appreciate it always. Look forward to seeing you again. Talk to you soon.
All right, Brian. Thanks, brother.
Thank you. We're at 8. Oh, we blew right past ABC News. Okay. Let me recap ABC News for you. There may or may not be more peace talks in Iran. There. I just did it. Boom. Done. Let's get our local news, traffic, weather. The BREC Room's up next. Actually, the lead story for ABC is the lead story locally. So, oh, hell. All right, appreciate it always. Look forward to seeing you again. Shit. I need to take this thing off and just clean it all the way to the core.
Is there a piece we could just order? We can order a new piece.
I want one. Well, the problem is, this is the main microphone. So between me and Kevin and Perry on Saturday, it just gets coffee spittle. It's just coffee spittle, and it's gross. But yeah, what can you do? I don't know how I'm gonna walk around today. I got a bum ankle. I'm just limping everywhere I go.
You hurt your ankle?
Yeah, I don't know how either. Need some pop. It's it has been a Monday. Oh, it's been a Monday.
Yeah.
Angela, do you want to go? Are we going to talk to Angela?
I don't know. Let me pull it up. I have her. No, we need you, Janet, and Maurice first. We're coming to Angela third.
Okay.
My rundown is a little bit wonky this week because I don't think it. I'm not 100% sure.
So I have Hal
Matches.
Park and security.
Yeah.
You're gonna
Okay.
And then
talking
Angela will hop in after that.
All right.
You're talking Hal Park.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, we do rapid fire.
Right.
Yeah. Well, rapid fire is how Park and security. It's just broken down. Oh snap! We're already here. Let's go. Yep, time to dive into the BREC Room. Want to welcome, as we do every week, Janet Simmons, Maurice Velasquez coming in from BREC. Thank y'all. How are you this morning?
Good morning. Doing
Thank
great.
you, Brian.
I mean,
Doing
last
great.
blast of cold air. Well, I know I said it a couple weeks ago. It was the
I
last
don't know.
blast.
We said that's right. We said that back
But this-
in late February, March.
Right, but we got another
Here
head
we are.
fake. We
Right.
got another head fake from Mother Nature, and I'm taking it. By the way,
I love
I
it.
am
Yeah,
too.
yeah,
Got my
absolutely.
jacket
I
on.
know.
right? We got a lot. Oh, got so much ground to cover. We're going to talk a little bit later on about a number of improvements going on around not just Love It, but there's a whole lot. Y'all are in a lot of places at once right now.
We are.
We are.
Okay.
Yeah, we're trying to either catch up or get ahead.
Right.
A lot of little hanging fruit that's got a lot of high impact. And so we're trying to do as much as possible.
Before we really dive in,
Yeah.
can we start with that? Because that's a
Sure.
balancing act in and of itself.
It
Well,
is.
Angela actually is going to be here to talk about this
Okay.
this morning,
Okay.
and so she's going to go into a lot of the work that we're doing.
All right. No, then we
Yeah.
can hold off till Angela
Okay.
gets in here.
All right.
Let's start off with Hal Park. What's going on in that?
Yeah,
What's the need at Hal
The
Park?
biggest need is lifeguard candidates, and we have as that Thursday we had 8 new candidates come in. So today I'll know what the status is on their vetting. But yeah, it's a deep water pool, so we need lifeguards. It's not the same thing as lifeguarding at Liberty Lagoon or other pools. We need a deep water lifeguards. The key thing is a lot of people don't realize that we will train people.
Yeah.
Okay. And we will also train to certify people. So if you are interested or someone you know is interested in becoming lifeguard, okay, it is a really great skill, and we will provide the training, the certification, and the pay. It pays really good.
Pays
Yeah.
great.
Pays tremendously good, very competitive.
Okay.
And we're looking for part-time, full-time positions, and we're looking for people that really want to learn and who have some basic swimming. They know how to swim. You know,
Right.
they got to know how to swim. But we provide, again, a lot of the resources, and so we need a good handful of candidates. We need to end up with 10 lifeguards so we can do a full-time open pool, and depending on the size and the number of people we get for lifeguards, then we're adjusting our schedule.
How difficult is it to pull 10 full timers for a seasonal job?
It is very tough.
Very difficult.
And it's not just the tough in Baton Rouge. This is happening across the
Oh, I would
country.
imagine.
It is very difficult to find lifeguards and deep water lifeguards.
Right.
Yeah. So this is
Yeah.
a very big challenge.
Well, yeah, because I would imagine that there's a finite number of applicants, and then when you're, and y'all are working with SELA,
Right.
and you know how many
Correct.
pools around town they're working with.
Well, and
so
that's the other thing. We've got the YMCA
Yeah.
has their pools, and so do we have the Blue Bayou down south.
of course, yeah.
So we've got a lot of competition too.
Right. And when we talk about competition, I mean it's competition not just for the entertainment, but it's competition for the employment as well. It's competition for the workforce.
But we do pay very well compared to them. So
okay, that's a good starting point right there. Let's talk about you need 10. I mean, is there a backup in order?
Yeah, we're doing 10, 8, 6, 5, depending on what we have. So whether and our options are full-time open the pool full-time, or do some classes and open pool, or just move to classes. Okay. And so we're working very hard to not
start classes
like
swimming classes.
Swim lessons.
Yeah,
swim lessons.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
Yes. So we're not opening it up. We're trying to leave it to not an option.
And swim lessons is one of those things. It's so important for people to learn how to swim, not for recreational purposes, although it's fun to be able to swim and have fun time in the pool. But just the fact that we live, and we've talked about this before, in Louisiana, there's water everywhere.
Right.
Everybody needs to know how to swim.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's it should be a given, right?
Right.
It should be a given. That is the latest on Howell Park. Let's move over to security a little bit, because I know y'all have been hard at work on that front as well, in putting together an overall plan.
Correct. We finished building what we call our Fort Knox, which is basically a room almost twice the size of the studio, filled with television monitors.
You stuck with Fort Knox, huh?
Yeah.
I was pitching Batcave. I was pitching Batcave, but
we call it our SOC too, our security operations center.
Oh, I like that one even better.
Yeah. And so it's designed to have 2 to 3 full-time people, different shifts, monitoring televisions. We have anywhere from 1,200 to 1,400 cameras that in the past we would rely very, very reliably on being able to look at footage and as it was recording when incidents happening.
Okay.
But the approach that BREC has had has not been a proactive approach. So now we're moving towards a proactive approach where we're going to have staff constantly monitoring, looking, using what's called talk-down technology, and begin to have a more open, more vibrant, more robust, more proactive communication with the police department and the sheriff's department as to what's happening in the parks, and be more on top of it rather than just being reactive.
Talk to me a little bit about what talk-down technology is.
Yeah, whenever you see somebody opening a door or being somewhere where they shouldn't be or doing something, then the folks in the SOC, the security room, could talk with them. And talk down is not talking down at them like in a bad mood or
no.
Meaning the camera is above them and there's a microphone, there's a speaker that says, "Hey, you in the blue shirt, you shouldn't be here," and talking to them.
Essentially, like high-level Ring camera, basically.
Pretty much is. Yeah. Yes. And so we're beginning to install that in a lot of different parks so that folks get the notion that there is somebody watching and there's somebody they're going to interact. That will allow us to give a lot faster feedback when we do have to escalate something to the police.
Right.
Yeah.
One of the things that we wanted to do is make sure that since we are Parks and Rec, right, we are having fun. We're doing fun things. We wanted to bring in some companies that knew what they were doing with this.
Right.
So we brought in experts in the field and in the industry to help us design the SOC and also to design the plan and how we're going to be moving forward with safety. And that was one of the IYP3, again, Imagine Your Parks 3 plans of how do we secure our parks and make them safer. We constantly get rapid response requests on, can you lock this gate? Can you make this park safer? There's nefarious activity going on. What can we do about it? And so those are the areas that we need to make sure that we're, do a good job with that. I read an article over the weekend about Seattle parks where a lot of the parks, especially in downtown, they're having a lot of trouble with Seattle and in Portland, Oregon, with they're becoming homeless encampments and the security of that. And so we want to make sure that we're aware of who's in our parks, when they're there, what are they doing, and making sure that they're for a purpose that the park is being served.
Also clarifying expectations. What is it that we can do? What is it that our park rangers can do? What is it that our officers can do? What is it that the police can do?
Right.
And so that's why the collaborative relationship between them is very important. Some of the things that happen around our parks are not inside the parks.
Right.
Some of the things that happen in the parks, we can't do anything about. We need the police, we need the sheriff's department. So therefore,
of course,
we have to increase. And that's what we're currently doing. We're having a really good open communication with all the mayors, with all the incorporated areas, with the police department. And in the next couple of weeks, we'll be be tightening that up and clarifying who does what and how do we streamline this a whole lot more.
Well, and that's part of inheriting a park system as y'all move into your roles, continue to move into your roles, inheriting a park system that was built out over multiple master plans, multiple ideas. So there's so many different variables for what parks should be, what they should look like. So bringing that into today's wants, needs, and desires is going to be a little bit more difficult on a security front.
Yep.
This is the BREC Room. We, we're going to go ahead and pivot and bring our guest in real quick.
Yep.
Angela, if you would come on over here, we get to dive in to our next segment. Angela Harms is with us. Yep, right there. We got Angela Harms in with us. Going to talk about some of those overall improvements that I was teeing up a minute ago. Which good morning. Which brings us around to you. Tell me what. Let's start with Love It, and then branch out from there.
Yeah, so Love It is one of about 10 or so playgrounds that we're replacing right now. As playgrounds age, we have to go in and replace parts and pieces. And it gets to a point sometimes where you just got to take the whole unit out and replace the whole unit. So that's one of about 10 that we've replaced. We have others such as Brooks Park. It's the backside of City Brooks Community Park over there by the pool. We're replacing that. That new one will be in about 2 weeks or so.
Okay.
So so there's several that we're doing there. Love It. We also just finished the parking lot replacement. So our parking lot asphalting. So we've got the whole entry road, front parking lot, brand new asphalt, brand new striping, really nice parking lot there. So
ask Angela how much it costs to replace the playground.
How much it costs to replace the playground?
And depending on the playground structure itself, you can go anywhere from $50,000 to $100,000 in a drop of a hat. Just easy. Yeah.
Yep.
Look, I grew up with the metal slides and the merry-go-round of death, so I understand the improvement is needed.
Yeah. Well, and metal slides in our climate.
No, that explains so much about who Gen X is, doesn't it?
Right.
Just unpacks a lot.
And that's just the equipment itself. Then we have to spend another 50 to 100 or so on the playground surfacing. So yeah.
Which is if you're not out there or regularly with your kids, when you are out there with your kids, you get it. You get it right away. It's like, oh, this is different. This is safer. This is more comfortable. It's weather resistant. It definitely makes an improvement. You mentioned repaving the parking lots. There was over at Howell, y'all got some work done as well.
Yes, we did the repaving of the back drive over at Howell. So all the potholes were gone. Really nice new crosswalks and everything there as well. And then the other one that we did was Anna T. Jordan Community Park up in Scotlandville. Repaved both of those parking lots. All brand new asphalt.
Let's talk about getting the people to the parks and talk a little bit about signage where we're at right now.
Absolutely, yeah. So signage across the parish, our new branding, new brand standards. Signage is bright, colorful. You're at BREC when you see it. And so we're doing some big ones across the parish, all the way from Montesano Bayou, which is up in Scotlandville area, down to Highland Road Observatory. So all over the parish, brand new signage going in.
Very, very cool stuff. We are talking for just a quick second about some improvements going on around the parish with Angela Harms from BREC. Pride Park, Alston Park, what's coming there?
Yes, so we have a few, 3 grand openings or ribbon cuttings we'll be scheduling this May-June kind of time frame. Pride Park, way up in the top of the parish, brand new playground, gathering pavilion, fire pit, barbecue grills.
Park.
Oh, it's gorgeous.
Really
up in the woods. So really nice. We added some playground equipment there as well. So Fabulous Park will be doing a grand opening there soon. Alston Park is over kind of near Highway 61 to the kind of west side of Baker.
Okay.
Wonderful new playground there. Big shade structures over the playground equipment. Community garden beds. So it's a really nice multi-generational design there. Very, very nice.
I want to go back. You mentioned a fire pit.
Yes.
Jenna, is that I didn't know we could do that outside of just cooking.
Yes.
In fact, sometimes during the year we have these fire pit events where we go like at Highland and I think up in Zachary, and we have fire pits where people can come and just sit around the fire and
do
marshmallows and all.
Wow. Okay. Really I didn't even realize that was on the table.
Camp outs with BREC. Yeah.
Very cool stuff. One more for Angela before we take a quick break. And by the way, on the back of the break, it looks like the survey has ended for City Park. We're going to dive into that a little bit.
Okay.
But before we get you out of here, Angela, and thank you for popping in, by the way. what's the latest on the trails front? Getting out walking.
So Freedom Heritage Trail. It goes from Memorial Stadium all the way up to Scotlandville to Montesano Bayou Boulevard, the street there, and we'll be doing a ribbon cutting there as well. It is on-road and off-road bike and pedestrian trail. So you can get from one end of the parish to the other almost on that trail.
Yeah.
Really great amenities. You know, it has little trailheads.
I didn't know this was a thing.
Absolutely. It's great. It's part of our bike ped master plan throughout the parish for connectivity between parks, two places
And
of work.
I was going to say all the way through, and eventually you'll be able to go from Scotlandville all the way down. Past LSU down into Pennington.
Yeah. You could ride your bike from Southern to LSU.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Very, very cool
wonderful
stuff.
Wonderful stuff. So we're doing a big groundbreaking there, wayfinding signage, the whole bit. So.
So when's that groundbreaking coming up? Do you know?
We haven't scheduled the exact date yet, but it'll be May, June.
Okay. And I would guess we're too early to project out about completion and whatnot.
So it is complete. So the trail is done.
Okay.
It is done. We just haven't scheduled the date yet.
All
so
right.
we are on the way.
All right.
So you can go ahead and use it.
Absolutely. Very cool stuff. All right. Angela Harms, thank you so much for a couple minutes. Yep. We're coming up on a break real quick. We do need to check our traffic. We'll check your money now on the back end of that break. We are going to talk a little bit about the City Park survey. Also want to talk obsolete land. That's been a topic of conversation throughout the news, not just within this segment. Before we get you to break, though, do need to remind you that Talk 107.3, the Baton Rouge Clinic, are proud to bring you the 2026 Dreams Come True Radiothon this year. First American Bank and Boudreaux's Electrical have pledged to match your donations once we reach $2,000. Whatever you can do to help that, please do so. Hop on at talk1073.com. We team up with Dreams Come True every year. We look forward to your help. Here's traffic. Oh, that went fast.
Go.
Do you want to stay to talk about the City Park survey, or
I
do you want
can.
Angela to stay to talk?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Cool.
Got that.
Yeah.
Any other
off mics? I've got a great story about her. 852 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP, rolling along with the BREC Room as part of Mornings with Brian Haldane, diving right back in. Angela, I thanked you for your time and sent you on your way, but we weren't done with you yet. So,
No problem. Angela is our wellspring of information for City Park. So
all right, well then let's dive in on that, because I know it's a hot topic. I know a lot of people are dialed in to talk about. Everybody has their vision for they want to see it. Survey's closed. What do we know?
So far, we're still evaluating all the results. It closed on Friday at midnight. So we're just digging in today. So right now, digging in, the design consultant is doing all of their analysis of the survey results, and we've in order for them to really dig in, look at those results, and come up with these some concept alternatives, we've moved our public meeting to June 11th.
Yep,
it's going to be at 5:30 p.m. And at the McKinley Alumni Center. So please join us. We'll have public engagement. We'll do some survey type of activities where we'll get some more feedback. We'll share where we're at with the design, share some concept alternatives. So it'll be a really great time. So they're just digging in and seeing what we can do.
When you said June 11th, there'll be more opportunity for public feedback.
Yes.
I mean, at a certain point, Jen, it's probably better asked of you, but at a certain point, do we just call it off and say, this is what we've got, this we're going to roll with?
I think that's what we're going to be working with the public and hearing what they have to say. And then we're going to have to make that decision.
Yeah.
Now that's going to have to be the commissioners to make that decision.
Yeah.
So we'll have to leave it up to them. But yeah, it's been an interesting journey this spring, talking with different people about what their ideas are. Some people love the idea of turning it into a Central Park like place. Other people want to keep the golf course intact without any any kind of alternative options there. So it's a balance of how can we help provide the needs of the community for such a vast different request.
Well, and that, but is part of that though, that this is still, I know it's City Park, it's City Brooks Park, but it is one park in a ton that BREC has.
Right. It is one park.
So I don't know.
We're remaining Switzerland on this.
Right. That's kind of where I'm going with this. It's like, I know I have my personal takes on where I'd like to see it.
Right.
But it is the public input. I mean, it can be, paralysis by analysis.
Right.
That's going to be the hard part.
At some point, we're going to have to make a decision.
Yeah, absolutely. We got a couple minutes left before we get out of here. Can we talk about where we're at with the community meetings on the obsolete land?
Yeah, so we've had 3 community meetings and talking to different people. There's a misconception out there that we are just targeting parks in North Baton Rouge. That is not true. The obsolete land list is all over the parish.
Well, the first one up was Industrialplex, right?
And
that's not North Baton Rouge.
Correct. That's in Segan Lane. So that is something that we are looking at. Also, there's a misconception that just because the commissioners put the parks as a possible obsolete park, that doesn't necessarily mean that it will become obsolete.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it does.
We might partner with another organization to keep it open. It's just we're not taking care of it.
Right.
So there's an option of doing that. And we're talking to several different entities for at least 3 of the parks that we've called obsolete to go into some kind of an agreement with them, CEA with them, to keep the park open or have them operated. The whole idea is that we've got too much land to take care of, and we really need to be better stewards of that land and the money that we're taking in through the ad valorem taxes.
Oh, no, 1,000%. This is one that I'm really, really am on board with the fact that y'all are at least doing the self audit,
right?
To say, does all this land really need to be on the taxpayer's dime when it comes to maintenance, when it comes to liability?
Right.
And yeah, just start the process. Give it the full look to be sure. Now, when it comes to, you did say reinventing, repurposing. I think it's probably a better way than just calling it obsolete and calling it a day.
Well, some of the property, when we say it's obsolete, it doesn't mean that it's dead or it's not a good piece of property. It just means that we aren't using it. So we're not having activity on there. We're having to keep it mowed. We're having to keep it managed,
Yeah.
where nobody, like, for example, there's a park in right south of the airport that's just a piece of land. That's
Right.
all it is. And it's swamp. So it's wet. We don't have any playground equipment on there. We don't have anything on there. So why not just dispose of it? In other words, sell it to somebody else who can do something with it.
Right. Well, and so the tough part there is going to be who would want it, but that's the part that you're going to walk down the path of. That's if
Right.
you don't start the process, you can't get anywhere.
Right.
That's, I don't know. That's my whole thing on
Right.
it. So,
Yep.
before we get out of here, we had one more note to get to that brings Maurice back in the fold here, if we could. Maurice, I'm going to try and keep you to 2 minutes on this one before we have to get out of here. But let's
That's
talk
his
a
way of
little.
saying talk fast.
Well, that's basically yes. Youth recreational leagues.
Yes, very exciting. All right, so if you remember the day when we used to have neighborhood play, you had a much faster turnaround being able to find baseball teams, soccer teams, softball teams, just all types of recreational play. Those days are gone. Okay, the state of play report put together by the Pennington Foundation and the Aspen Institute basically said that BREC walked away from this early 2000s.
Okay,
and families suffered because the only thing that was left was at that point competitive play, travel play. Well, the travel, everybody leaves, and then nobody finds recreational play. And then what happens is what we talked about there. Nobody uses the parks then, and then you open it up for crime. Or for nefarious activity.
Yep.
So we need to get back to what BREC should have been from the very beginning, and that is recreational play. So we've started the conversation, and it is going really well. Right?
Really?
I mean,
Oh my
really
gosh,
well. We have
exciting.
representatives from all the different cities. Now we're reaching out from representatives from the different unincorporated areas, and the interest is incredibly high. It is so exciting. Listen, y'all, this is probably one of those things that could turn and change not only BREC in a explosive way, but also the impact that it will have on the parish, the life of citizens, because every weekend will then become another thing that, hey, let's go get our kids involved in recreational play. You don't have to pay thousands of dollars to find sports for your kids. And let's get back to what we used to do.
I love
great
this.
weekends
Can't get enough.
all throughout. Yes,
and
we're
I'm
so excited about
working
this.
under the assumption we're talking baseball first, right?
We're gonna start with baseball.
We're
Yeah.
going to try. We're going to try. We're going to see when we do it. But no, it'll be a soon event.
Very, very good stuff.
Yeah.
Janet, Maurice, always appreciate the time.
Thank
you
you
so
very
much.
much.
Appreciate it.
That's going to do it for us today. Moon Griffon's coming up in just a little bit. We will be right back at it tomorrow here on Talk 107.3 FM. All right. See y'all later, Facebook.
And when